Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up.
Your weekly dose of romance and drama has arrived. Season 29 of The Bachelor is here, and Grant Ellis, certified hottie and former day trader, is trading his day job on Wall Street for a second chance at everlasting love. New episodes drop every Monday at 8/7 Central, bringing you fresh twists in Grant's journey to find his soulmate. This self-proclaimed mama's boy is all grown up and ready to invest his heart. Will his playful charm win over the house full of hopefuls, or will the competition prove too intense? From heartfelt moments to adrenaline-pumping dates, each week brings new surprises in the mansion. Will Grant find his perfect match or end up with a broken heart? Tune in every Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu for new episodes of The Bachelor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today because we have a wild story for you today.
Yeah.
A very interesting story. A guy that I didn't even know was an athlete or knew anything about him until about 3 weeks ago or a month ago when I was reading a book about the making of Ghostbusters. And found out about this guy. We'll get into all of it, but it's the guy from the Ghostbusters 2 painting, the Vigo the Carpathian.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Okay, yeah. You've never heard of him, but everybody knows Vigo the Carpathian, and there it is, Ghostbusters 2. So
Get me coy.
We'll get into that. We'll get into all of that, but before we do, definitely head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Get your merchandise, get your tickets for live shows, tickets for the virtual live show, October the 30th, that goes on. But if you're hearing this later than that, it's all right, because you can buy it, watch it, do whatever you want with it for 2 weeks after we do it. So can't wait. Just like a regular Small Town Murder live show, the pictures, the comedy, the story, but we're going to wear costumes, and
there you go.
You can watch it from anywhere in the world that you want that has an internet connection. So we can't wait to do that. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Also get Patreon. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of your bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above, you get hundreds of back episodes of Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder, and you get new ones every other week. It's not bad. For $5 a month, you can't beat it. It's a cup of coffee. This week, what you're going to get for Crime and Sports, we got to talk about that Vince McMahon documentary.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some of the accusations, and we're not going to go over all the wrestling stuff because we've gone over it a million times, and that's a whole separate thing. So we're going to go over the accusations, and we're going to go over just some of the ridiculous, because there's some dumb people on that documentary, and we'll talk about
pretty
them.
Amazing.
We're going to talk about brain damage as a motherfucker, so we'll get into that. For Small Town Murder, we are going to talk about, we got to finish up the Ted Bundy psychological assessment from 1976 because it's so vast we couldn't get into the whole thing. So we got to talk more about the pictures and his interpretations of them, and he's nuts. Just spoiler alert. Really is, we'll get into all that, though. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where all that rests. That said, let's do this, everybody. Our asshole of the week here. His name is Norbert Grupe. Grupe. That's his real name. He goes by, his stage name for everything is Wilhelm Von Homburg, though. Okay, but he's Norbert Grupe. Now, Norbert's born August 25th, 1940 in Berlin, Germany.
Hell yeah.
So think about, not hell yeah, hell no. Think about when and where.
That's what I mean.
Hell yeah, he's a Nazi. That's not good.
It's not good.
You don't
It's
want to be
bad.
born there. And his dad was in all the army and all that kind of shit.
He was born during shelling.
Yeah. He's born shit. This is before America got into the war. This is when
Right.
Hitler was really aggressive in 1940.
Right.
That was 39 was when he was invading Poland and all that. It's a lot. So that's where he's born. He's a big guy, 6'1", imposing guy. He'll end up being a professional boxer and wrestler, as we'll talk about here. His dad's name is Richard Grupe, so Dick Grupe, Dick Grupe, basically. His mother is not Richard's wife. It's one of Richard's many girlfriends.
Is that right?
Yeah, much like him, his father is just always out trying to get pussy. So this is not his wife, so he's kind of just like an illegitimate child that he
Fantastic.
then the father just brings to be raised by his wife. Here, raise my son I had with somebody else. So you can imagine what his, life is like. He's got a half-brother named Winfred, and then he has we'll get into it what he is later, but it could either be his half-sister or his daughter, Rona.
Oh, boy.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, we have a definite resolution of it, and we'll talk about that. So let's start out with his dad. Now, his dad, you need to know about him. His dad goes by King Richard always. Everybody calls him. He was born in 1915 during the first. So his dad was born during the First World War, and he's born during the Second World War.
Keeping it real consistent in this fam.
Yeah, no shit. His father was a cop, so he's the son of a cop. He would eat 2 pounds of raw bacon at a time. His father, not him.
Oh, yeah.
That was a meal, 2 pounds of raw bacon.
Raw.
That's
an interesting choice.
That's an odd choice. I mean, you could ball it up and eat it faster probably, but doesn't sound good.
prosciutto?
Yeah, like just hunks of prosciutto, put it on a big sandwich with some mozzarella. Maybe it's good. I don't know. Also, he was such an alcoholic that Richard said that he could smell his dad before he got to the front door.
Wow.
He could smell his dad coming up the steps. The booze would come
You could smell
through
him
the door.
inside
He would
while
come-
Dad
That's how boozy he was.
permeates brick.
He said, quote, "I can smell that Papa is home," he would tell his mother. And then he would walk in the door. And his father would drink so much that he would shit his pants in the house.
Oh, no.
And young Richard would have to wash the shit off his fucking drunken father. Well, his father just eats handfuls of raw bacon. That's the most disgusting.
Golly.
Imagine laying on the floor shit-faced with shit in your pants and raw handfuls of bacon in your hand. That's the grossest thing I can think of. Oh, God. Richard told a reporter later on, quote, when he drank in schnapps and beer, we could swim in that. Apparently. When his mother couldn't take any more, she left and was replaced by a stepmother who Richard said was brutally, brutally cruel to him. Terrible. He said, quote, "Just a shitty childhood." Literally and figuratively, apparently.
Right,
here.
yeah. Pops did that.
Wow. Here's an article from later on about Richard. This is from 1974. And he was a Luftwaffe sergeant, okay? Which is
that right?
the German Air Force. Yeah, he was under Goering, for Christ's sake, this guy. So, yeah, there's a picture of him here with his uniform on and everything. And it says, "King Richard, the Reluctant Dragon" is the name of the article. And he is, they said they have a picture, and the credit from the picture is Screen Actors Guild. So his father's acting too. And it says, "To the residents of Venice Beach, Richard Grupe is a popular and gregarious local figure." Yeah, most Nazis are known for their gregariousness.
Very outgoing.
Oh, Christ. The health-conscious athlete, who looks considerably younger than his 59 years, is seen each morning soon after the sunrise running on the beach with his 3 German shepherds. Along the city's narrow streets, his friendly voice and easy laughter are often heard. Oh, wow. Much different from our guy. His friends at an open-air sports club on the Venice Boardwalk like to call him King Richard. Though he doesn't take his nickname too seriously, he does look the part. A former boxing champion in his native Germany, Grupe stands 6'3" and weighs 227 pounds. That's a big guy.
Golly.
Given the appearance of a burly Viking warrior, replete with blue eyes, long blonde hair, and a full long blonde beard, To learn how a man born by the cold North Sea came to settle by the warm Pacific, I recently spent a day with Grupe, recording our conversation at a beachside park. As I questioned him about his life in Germany, his role in World War II, and his immigration to America, Grupe emerged as a quick, affable man who has led an extremely varied and eventful life. Though he speaks an accented and unorthodox version of self-taught English, unorthodox, doesn't speak English well, Richard describes his adventures with clarity and humor. And speaking of his father, who was a policeman, Grupe said warmly, what he drank in schnapps and beer, we could swim in that, you and me. So, a lot. He was drunk 4 times a week. My stepmother called the police station with an excuse for sickness. When she forgot, a guy came from the station and checked what happened to him. He sees my father snoring and says, what's with Richard? Is he half dead again? They knew he drank, but he was a very good-hearted guy. He had a heart from gold. He said, when my father came home, he'd eat 1.5, 2 pounds of bacon with mustard, raw bacon with mustard. That's some German shit right there. Just give me mustard-covered pork, handfuls of it. Wow. When I think of that on that time today, I would be sick. I would pass out. I would have kidney and gall troubles. Man, he says, Grupe, Richard here, our guy's father, says that his diet consists mainly of health foods. So he doesn't get that. He abstains from alcohol and tobacco and consumes only the right stuff, which is nothing like his son, who will consume all sorts of shit. Okay. Richard's first job as a baking apprentice began in 1930 when he was 15 years old. After 2 years of training paid for by his father, he started earning $5.50 weekly, which was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Over the years, he entered numerous other professions as a county policeman, boxer, Luftwaffe staff sergeant, restaurateur, wrestler, sports instructor, oil refinery worker, and actor. Okay. Wow. At one point, when Richard was still in his teens, he was nearly forced to embark on a career which he had no desire to pursue, the SS. Yeah. Hitler's elite security police. He gave a rough translation of the dialogue that passed between him and 4 black uniformed SS officers 40 years ago. These fucking cunts. These are the assholes that were in Abruzzi that were murdered all the families and had my fucking grandparents hiding in the ground and shit. Quote, they stopped me on the street to be an SS man, but I got away with my blue eyes. 4 guys stood up in the car, an open Mercedes. They said, hey, come here. And I said, what do you mean, come here? They yelled, come here, and I go. Oh, like a snake I go. And they say, what's your name? And I say, to the devil, what's that to you, bastards? Okay. But at that time, he said, I was shaking. The SS men demanded to know his name, height, birthplace, and place of work when they tried to recruit him. He recalled, quote, then they say, when you come to our meetings, I say, I have no idea to go. Nobody tell me about it. I have no idea to go to some meetings where nobody like me maybe. We like you, they say. You come to us, you be one of us. I say yes, and I go home and tell my boss. Grupe's employer eventually managed to persuade the local SS chief to not take Richard from his bakery work into the SS. And he said,
don't understand. He makes a hell of a tart.
His loaves are wild, dude. I mean, you getting married soon? He's going to make you a 3-tier that will blow your fucking mind. Let me tell you something. We'll put a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan on top. It'll be fantastic. He's going to love it.
Custard filling. Custard.
You know how that works. Maybe I can do blackberry. It's fine. Whatever you want. I'm up for it. He said today Grupe is still grateful for his employer's intervention. Ironically, it was another SS man who led Richard to his boxing career by asking him if he knew how to box. He did not, and the soldier tried to show him. Grupe's first punch, a hard right, knocked the soldier out.
Wow.
He soon began regular training and had 8 amateur fights before his 19th birthday in 1934. Grupe remarked that the soldier, like many of his jobless peers, had joined the SS because they got food and meetings and everything. So that was more of a gimmick. Everybody accepted him. Other guys were all-out work, and they were more communist than Nazis. They wouldn't have done anything. They wouldn't have anything to do with Hitler, but they couldn't open their mouths or he'd put them in jail.
Right.
Yeah, not like you could be like, hey, fuck Hitler, man. Like, you know.
Right. You're not.
It didn't really go well. When I asked Grupe to comment further on the extent of Hitler's popularity with the German public after his rise to power in 1933, he was understandably reticent. I tell you I was 18. What do you want to know from me? He asked. I was 18. Ask some 18-year-old kid here what he thinks of Truman. At the time, you know what I mean? His tone became empathetic as he continued. I was never a Nazi. I joined the party. I was not the Partei, it's T-E-I at the end. I was not in the Hitler Youth. I was a pastry man who worked day and night. I just made pastries, dude. I didn't do anything. Yeah, I put little swastikas on them, but that's fine. They all had little fucking swastikas drawn in them, but, you know.
Lots of iron eagles on top of these things.
It was what you did back then, you know. It was the day.
I put Jesse James West Coast Choppers logo on some cupcakes.
It's delicious. You're going to love it. While still 18, Grupe was offered a 4-year contract as baker and cook on a charter boat touring the Far East. He was eager to leave depression-ridden Germany and to travel, but his father persuaded him to be a policeman instead. Richard joined the county police force and soon discovered it to be, quote, Hitler's phony police name for soldier training.
Right.
Yeah. The county police organization was used to sidestep the limitations placed on the size of Germany's armed forces by the Treaty of Versailles after World War I.
Wow.
So it was just a, that's
way to backdoor it.
Yeah, he was backdooring it. He was trying to get between the lines here.
Well, I mean, when you're going to commit a genocide of 6 million people, it's not going to be easy.
No.
The world's probably not going to like that.
You're going to need a lot of people.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of people, and you need a lot of people that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yep. Well, that was one of the things the Germans were so pissed off about was the Treaty of Versailles that they had to sign because they tried to take over the fucking world 25 years earlier. You know what I mean? Or 20 years before this they're talking about. That's kind of what you get. So when rearmament was no longer being concealed, the men were given the choice to either enter the Army, Navy, or Air Force. Grupe chose the latter. He said, the training was so hard for me I could have died. I was not coordinated enough. My body was not together. My hands were big and my heart was small. I was skinny and white. He said that he was pitted against a 26-year-old, at 19, he was pitted against a 26-year-old heavyweight boxing champion of North Germany in an exhibition for the big shots, he says. And he admitted during the fight he was afraid, but he said in spite of his fear, Grupe won a bloody victory over the opponent.
Good Christ.
He recalled after the match, quote, the officers came to me and said, Grupe, you were great. And you know what? You wouldn't believe the guy never in his life forgot me that. He never forgave me that. He never forgave me. Graduating the county police force into the Luftwaffe, Grupe continued boxing successfully while he rose through the ranks of the military, becoming a drill instructor and later a boxing instructor in Berlin.
Wow.
He recalled winning the 1938 heavyweight boxing championship of the Army, Navy, and Air Force with a blend of pride and modesty. He said, I was down, and then I came up and knocked the guy out, and that was a good guy. He fought against the winner of the Olympics in a draw, so he was a good guy, strong like a tank, so I was lucky. I catch him with a right hand the same way I knocked out the SS soldier years before. That was the same right. The guy came to me, I knock him out. Bing, I break my thumb in this championship, so I get 14 days vacation for winning. Again, after the match, he was officially congratulated. This time he was standing naked in the dressing room when a general entered. That's what you want. You have no clothes. He has the most clothes. Jackets and medals and shit and hats, patches, everything. Yeah, you can imagine. Keys probably dangling down.
Yeah, he was loud coming into that room.
Oh, God, all sorts of shit. Squeaky shoes. He said that, he said, you were great. The officer, the general walks in the room and said, the general of the field said to me, Officer Grupe, in the name of Marshal Hermann Goering, I congratulate you. You were great. Then a quarter year later, Grupe said proudly, I make sergeant. So a brief stint as a swimming instructor brought him closest to the, quote, biggest accident of my life, he said. One of his pupils was the son of a big-shot police official. The boy looked like a chicken, Richard said flatly. You have none of the man in you, I said to him. I teach you.
Yeah.
You have none of the man in you.
Those scaly legs and those claws.
Oh, God. You're a lizard. I'm going to teach you. Richard put the boy on his shoulders and leaped off a high tower. Underwater, the boy became tangled in the wooden cross beams of a pier and had to be rescued. he almost killed a kid, is what he just said.
Because he's not a man. You got no man in you.
He did some seriously irresponsible shit and almost killed a boy. That's what he's telling us now.
Wow.
Holy shit. Underwater, he came tangled all up. When the boy was revived, Richard had changed his mind about trying to toughen youngsters. I say, what do I care what this chicken does? I want to make this boy into a man for what? To make him tough for the army so he can get shot later on? They could put me in jail for life. For life for that thing. So early in the war, Richard was married for the first of 3 times. She was a very nice girl, he said warmly. In her way, she was bright. In her way, she was bright. Little dumb is what that means. In her way, she was bright.
In her own way. She
someone
didn't know a lot about Crayola.
If I ask you about a comic and I go, is he funny? And you go, in his own way. What does that mean? Not really.
Really nice guy.
Nice guy, not really. Don't want to be mean, but can't do shit.
Fun hang.
Fun hang. Good guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
He said she was a nice girl. In her own way, she was bright. She wrote little articles and sent them to a newspaper. But you don't have to be intelligent to do that, you know. I laughed with him as a writer of little articles for a newspaper. I had to agree. I don't want to make you down as a writer, Grupe told me with concern. Don't get me wrong, he said, but you don't have to be too intelligent to do that, especially rhymes. And she made rhymes very nice, a little bit with the war connected. She made war poems?
She's war Dr. Seuss.
War limericks. That's nice. I wonder if the lady from Nantucket's involved in any of those.
Or how many redfish and bluefish.
Yeah. I wonder how often the war is compared to roses and violets.
Or eggs.
Yeah.
And ham.
He then goes on, she was not stupid, not too intelligent, I think.
Yeah.
So he keeps saying how she's pretty dumb.
She likes cats that wear hats.
You know, she makes hats for cats. One of Grupe's early commanding officers was none too fond of his penchant for athletics. He said, I had a beautiful life. I did nothing useful in the morning, all the time in my training suit, and the commander, he hate me. He didn't do any military shit. He's just there to train.
He hate me.
He hate me. He's the original he hate me. So he put it on the back of his Nazi jersey.
That was his SS.
His Luftwaffe tag said he hate me. He had lost the officer who wore a monocle and had lost an arm in an old sailing ship. He's the guy from Young Frankenstein. That's who that is. It's the fucking police officer from Young Frankenstein. Monocle, fucking wooden arm, the whole deal.
I see Colonel Clink missing an arm.
That's what it is. It's totally the guy from Young Frankenstein. That sets his finger on fire to light a cigarette and all that shit.
That's right.
So he's got a wooden arm. He said who had lost an arm during an old sailing ship. Grupe laughingly recalled, quote, he celebrated Kaiser Wilhelm's birthday every year. He was against Hitler. God. So he was more for the old realm there, World War I era. In 1942, Grupe was transferred to the prestigious Hermann Goering division of the Luftwaffe. He said, I came into the regiment late when the Russians were close to Germany. That's close to the end there. Mm-hmm. I come in the regiment very sneaky because I don't want to go to Russia. He's not. Who's going to Russia?
Cold.
He's leaning down low, tying his shoes so nobody sees his head. Not me. Living in near luxury with his second wife, he was serving as a guard at the Hamburg airport for the Red Cross and making lots of money besides that. He's like, I don't want to go to fucking Russia and die in a field somewhere.
I got probably the best job in the military at the moment.
Fuck yeah. His athletic prowess made him a celebrity in the German press, and for a time he said it was a beautiful life. Wow. And that's kind of why I'm giving you this background on his dad, because you go, who cares about his dad? But it's to show where this guy came from is very important, I think.
During a really terrible time in Germany, he was living comfortably, even though, I mean, it's not good, but still he's making money and he's got food.
He's one of the more comfortable people in Germany, is what that is. So they said his popularity was not unanimous. A certain general received an anonymous letter that threatened Richard's charmed existence. Written by some phony who hates me, he insisted. The letter asked why Grupe should live the high life at home while others are being wounded and killed in combat. At this point in the war, when hundreds of thousands of German soldiers were dying in Russia because Hitler refused to allow retreat, an order to go to the Russian front meant almost certain death. And a bad death, too.
Also, life's not fair. That's why he can do this, because sometimes people live well and they don't deserve it, and other people die young and they don't deserve it. That's fucking welcome.
There's a lot of rolling of the dice here, you know what I mean, with life. He said that Richard said in a grim tone, my commander said, we have to send you to Russia. I said, oh, God.
Uh-oh.
Quote, so I must go out from civilization, he went on. Mm-hmm. Out from this beautiful life in the middle of the war, away from my second wife. Every day she hung a washcloth on the window to let me know when my lunch was ready, with a nice bouquet of flowers, windows open, sunshine. I eat, then we make love, then I go back to work at the airport. That's his lunch break.
Every day's got a nooner?
Lunch is ready. Here I eat, fucking bang my wife, and then
lunch and a blowy.
Back to the airport. Yep, he said, I lived before in civilization, and now I go into the war. Bingo. He said at first Richard was one of the first, was to be one of 1,500 soldiers being sent to Russia from Homburg. Then all of a sudden they call the whole action off, he said incredulously. They keep only 6 guys and 1 staff sergeant. That's me. They send us out to Russia and leave them in Germany. Because of this letter, they sent me out, somebody's letter. In Berlin, their first stop, 1 man was added to the unit. Under Group A's leadership, they did everything in their power to delay their arrival on the front. Yeah. The tire's flat. We really should mess with it. The car broke down.
Yeah.
This guy, we've all had places we didn't want to go, so we take longer to get there. Yeah. None of them were the Russian front to die in the cold. Holy shit.
The worst part of the war was the underestimation of the Russian winter and how fucking brutal it is.
And they're at this point in the war where Hitler's already doing meth and has gone fucking crazy. So there's
up in a fucking
There's no talking to him, but every soldier from the bottom soldier to the generals all know that Russia isn't working and isn't going to work.
No,
but they just
we're not going to win.
They can't tell Hitler that. He won't listen.
Damn it.
So that Hitler, once he gets a thought in his head, boy, you can't get it out. Tell you what. Like a dog with a bone, that Hitler, when he gets a hold of something.
He's convinced. When he's convinced, you got to just stick with him.
That's it.
For good or bad.
He said, quote, I told them to salute everybody, even the pimps. Just stop and salute because it'll take longer. Yeah. He said, I told them, don't make any noise, don't drink, don't sing, and we'll stay in a hotel for a week. We'll just hide out. Grupe's wife joined him at the hotel to, quote, live it up.
Yeah.
He's bagging at then, too. After 4 days, he said, I got scared. They maybe shoot me for desertion. To conceal the time they spent hiding, Grupe changed the dates on their traveling orders, quote, like an artist, he said. He doctored his time card. This guy would have been a great, factory worker. He figured out how to shit on the job.
A couple more days, don't worry.
He also forged new requisition orders for food and money. Then he related, I go to the commander, I say, we missed the train. I lied. Once aboard the train, he continued, I go to the conductor and give him a pound of butter and a salami and say, make us room where we can sleep. Butter and salami will do it.
Yeah, wow, provisions.
Day after day, town after town, the process was repeated. Dates were changed, requisitions were forged, rooms were rented. While the 8 men tried, as Grupe put it, to keep us back from the front, each time I am making a story. No money, no food, missed the train. Just making shit up.
A coward.
This is great. The right kind of coward, though. Smart coward.
He realizes, he probably sees that the writing's on the wall. We're going to lose, you guys. We shouldn't go there.
Especially in Russia. You're just dying.
Yeah.
They're just shoveling bodies onto the fire in Russia. So he's
if we don't
this
go
is stupid.
And we just trade salami and butter, we can have a pretty decent life until this ends.
We'll keep forging shit to get salami and butter, and then we'll bribe people with salami and butter. It's the perfect crime. He said, I did the talking, making a salute to every little pimp so that we don't get in trouble. And so the people say they have beautiful soldiers in the Air Force.
Yeah.
The reluctant soldiers had a long and eventful journey. The train went so slow, long, full of soldiers, said Grupe. It had to stop for the night, and the fire has to go out because of the bombs, so no one can see when they're bombing. They fell down like they threw them out with a shovel. 2 here, 2 there, 2 here, just to keep the people awake, take the power away from the army. Crossing Poland, he recalled, the people looked out the windows and jumped on the train to buy food. We changed our sausage for booze with them. I got sausage, I got booze. It's a good trade.
See you there.
Near the front, the men saw dead horses, dead bodies, and we can hear the fire and the booming of the front, and we can see the heavens On the heavens, the tracers shooting at the airplanes. It was loud and nervous, that place.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the WWII app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on WWII Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on WWII Plus. Join WWII Plus in the WWII app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Oof. Leaving the train, the 8 men hooked a large sled behind a truck and rode over to the frozen Russian landscape 30 miles deeper into the front. That's going to be a comfortable ride on a big sled for 30 miles. That night, the commander of the infantry regiment asked to speak with Grupe. We talked about Homburg and his family, and he had tears in his eyes, Richard said, and continued in a tone near anger. And then I took off. He made me weak with that. He was not a tough guy.
No.
The following morning...
They're killing the horses. Who knew that?
Oh, they kill everything.
Wow.
Well, the horses also were dying from having no food and getting shot and having the elements too, Russian winter. Yeah. The following morning, after 14 days on the road, Grupe and his men reached the final outpost on the very forward lines of the front. Before reporting for duty, Grupe stopped in a small makeshift barber shop. He spoke very excitedly of the exchange that took place inside. I come in the door, you don't believe this, and the guy in the chair says, "Hey, I know you. I saw you fight in Berlin against Herbert Rung."
Oh.
The soldier in the chair, Corporal Esser, had seen Grupe fight Runge 4 years before. I lost by points to Runge in Deutschland Hall in 1938. Runge was the winner of the Nazi Olympics. That sounds like something that would take place on fucking certain websites.
Yeah.
The Nazi Olympics. Jesus.
Yeah.
As a favor to Grupe, Corporal Esser said to him, "Give me the paper. I'll send you back to Germany."
Oh.
He had the power to do it. And he's like, "I like you. You're a boxer." As the soldier signed the reprieve, Grupe was in a state of ecstatic collapse. What I spent on nerves, he sent me back. Grupe and his men left the front immediately, but were stopped short by an old captain, Richard recalls. He say, "How long you been here?" I say, "We're just here shortly. We go back by command for new training for special guns and tanks." He say, "Everyone who has not a year here cannot come out unless you have a receipt. Do you have one?" "Yes." I gave him my old receipt. It was he was tired, and he say, "Corporal Esser signed it? Okay." Grupe spoke with a delighted tone. "From here we get to the package from Hitler that was given to everyone that was here in Russia for 1 year. A big package of food."
Wow.
The people coming out. "I want to push my luck too hard. Maybe then it was different." The men who took 14 days getting to the front managed to get home 14 times faster. Yeah, they got home in a fucking day. Mm-hmm. He said, "The same day we saw Esser, we were back all the way. In Berlin, I call my wife that I'm home again."
Unbelievable.
Took 2 weeks to get there, a day to get back. That's amazing. He went to, after a brief visit with his wife, Grupe went to Buchenwald, which is a fucking concentration camp.
Yep.
it's in the town, but there is one there, where the Hermann Goering Division was regrouping. A chance existed that he might be sent back to Russia, but again he met a soldier who knew of his boxing fame and arranged to transfer Grupe to Holland. Yeah. I don't want to go to Russia under no circumstances, he said emphatically. I want to go to the West. If I'm taken prisoner, I'll go to the English or the Americans. I asked him if he had known at the time that he was stationed at Buchenwald that it was the site of a major concentration camp. He said, we never know before. When we were there in 42, there were only barracks, nothing to see any concentration camp. We couldn't tell. It was nothing, just barracks. Earlier, he had said, I have no much luck with the Jewish people. I have never hated them. I'm very sorry for what Hitler did to the Jewish people. He said he spent most of the rest of the war in Holland, where he was put in charge of 600 men and housed in barracks. He said, they left everything to me, and I was going crazy. My head blows up. And so, yeah, he ended up getting transferred.
My mind is blown. My head blows up.
Within 4 years after the war, Grupe and his second wife owned a prosperous pastry shop, restaurant, and bar.
Hell yeah.
When a candy salesman entered the shop one morning in 1949, Grupe recognized him as his former general from the Hermann Goering Division. In a compassionate tone, he said, what a comeback. Me as a staff sergeant having my own shop, and he as a general selling candy bars. He has suffered enough. Some years later, him and his wife were divorced. He gave the shop to her. He was later remarried, and they talk about that. So he began touring Europe as a professional wrestler in 1954. Okay. He said, to be a good wrestler, you have to be a good actor. And he stated that many matches are fixed, and the two fighters and their reunites meet beforehand to discuss battle tactics, decide who will win, and plan how to make it look real. He said, the people should know it's the truth. So he's like outing wrestling here, going, it's all fake. In 74, he came to New York in 1960 with a 1-year wrestling contract, which included several fights at Madison Square Garden. And that is for Vince McMahon Sr., Vince's dad. Yes, he worked for Vince's dad several times during the 60s. Well, him and his partner. Yeah, he had a partner back then. So yeah, this is pre Bruno Sammartino being there. Yeah. This is, pre Buddy Rogers. This is pre them being really their own thing and breaking away from the NWA and all that, which happened in 62.
An actual Nazi working for him.
Wow. Oh, back then, the Nazi character, there was a million of them in wrestling.
Yeah.
Guys would come out in a fucking SS outfit, goose stepping around the ring, and everybody booed them. And yeah, for real. That the Von Erich's father did that. That was his shtick. Yeah, it was Fritz Von Erich. So anyway, they said, having appeared in various television and film productions in Germany and elsewhere in Europe, Grupe found acting work in America. He appeared in magazine advertisements for cigarettes and television commercials for automobiles, food products, beer, and cigars. Right. Joining the Screen Actors Guild, he moved to Hollywood to work as an extra and bit player, often portraying such rugged characters as pirates, sea captains, and Vikings. And that's what they're going to be, too. Later on, him and Richard are going to be a tag team known as the Vikings. Him and Norbert there, him and his son are going to be tag team. Yeah, so in the film, in the 20th century Fox film Young Frankenstein, he was cast, aptly enough, as a German townsman. In the Walt Disney production of The Island at the Top of the World, he appears as Viking Council Number 3. Grupe remarked, I only to shake my head. I had nothing to say. On the street, they say, you look like a Viking. Walk in. You need no makeup.
He had no speaking lines. He just be on camera.
That's
and be
it.
Tall and menacing.
They talk about talking about wrestling, and he said that he had over 120 wrestling matches.
And a better IMDb page than me.
And a decent one. Grupe speaks of his past with candor and fondness, but he seems to be a man who lives vigorously in the present. He is a man who they talk about. He likes people, encourages them to laugh or at least smile. And as he and I sat talking near Venice Beach, he turned to a young lady passing by and spoke in a warm, easygoing way. Quote, you don't have to sit down and say hello, just smile. He's the original asshole.
Yeah.
He's the original asshole telling girls walking by to smile.
What's the problem? Why don't you put a smile on that frowny ass face?
Well, nothing's more charming and smiley than a heavy Nazi German accent, too. Nothing sounds more fucking whimsical than that.
Encourage.
You don't have to sit down. You smile. You'd be like, Jesus Christ. You'd be terrified. She smiled.
Just smile more, honey.
And she did. Back then, they would.
Yeah.
She would go, okay. She's probably like, okay, don't beat me, please.
Yeah.
She smiled.
It's an awkward smile, but it's a smile.
I got something. And became one of the many ladies of Venice Beach who are quickly charmed by the man whose friends like to call him King Richard. Now, okay. When Rona, the daughter / our guy Norbert, or we're going to just go with Wilhelm because he'll be Wilhelm von Homburg pretty soon anyway. Okay. So Richard's son here, our guy Wilhelm, his sister / daughter, unsure of, she was a young girl. Richard would tell her all about his own childhood. And she said, I would sit at the end of his bed and listen to all these stories, and it was incredible. I've kept it to myself all these years. She said that she'd been told that, listen, you might not just be Norbert's half-sister, meaning Wilhelm, you might be his daughter as well. Okay, now, this is a fucking problem. This is 1959. Our guy Wilhelm is about 19 at this point. He apparently was always fighting with his dad. And
so, a lot of porn stars.
Yeah, and wasn't allowed in the house. So when dad's out of town, Richard's doing something, acting, wrestling, some shit. Norbert / Wilhelm here climbed up a wall and snuck into a window and raped his stepmother.
Raped her?
He raped his stepmother.
What?
Yes.
Not she came on to him and he slept with his stepmother.
Not stepmom porn.
He raped her.
He literally broke into the house and raped her. Like like Ted Bundy or something, like a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
What kind of a psychopath does that other than a psychopath? That's crazy. So that's who we're dealing with, our guy. He's 18 years old, too. This isn't like a haggard old guy. This is an 18-year-old kid who goes, I'll go break into the house and rape my stepmom.
That's the man in charge of the river of slime.
That's the man in charge, and you can understand why.
That's a great... Man, they got the perfect villain.
I'm telling you, and as good as kind of a guy that everybody likes. His dad's a guy everybody likes. Everybody has good things to say about his dad. No one has a nice thing to say about Wilhelm at all. Nobody.
Is that right?
Nobody. He's a mean, nasty, vicious asshole. He raped his stepmother at 18 years old. He's a sick fuck. So she was told, though, Rona, because she was born months later, and they didn't know whether it was Richard's or Wilhelm's kid.
Wow.
So they told Rona, look, that's your brother or maybe your father. We're not sure. And we'll find out later. I'll save it for later. We'll tell you the result of that, whether he has a daughter or a sister.
We got DNA. There's we could tell. We would know.
They take a blood test later on to find out. So that is fucking disturbing. And the disturbing part is, even after he rapes his stepmother, his father still is a tag team wrestler with him.
Wow.
They're still a tag team together.
He probably just does whatever that kid says because
he's terrifying.
That's a bad kid, man.
Yeah. So now, while he was doing all this, I guess, according to all of this here, one time, this is another story, by the way, about Richard from Rona. He was training as a boxer behind the bakery, and according to Rona, one day, the training room door was left open a crack when Hermann Goering, one of the big Nazi people, head of the Luftwaffe, walked, and
in charge?
Him and his wife walked by. He thought he was in charge after Hitler killed himself. He was telling everybody, "Well, I'm the guy now." Yeah, so
did he run to South America before they got him?
He didn't run anywhere. They caught him. He was trying to run. He was trying to run when they caught him, and when he was kept in the jail there. The great book, The Nazi and the Psychiatrist, is a tremendous book. It's about all the guys that were held before Nuremberg, but they focus mainly on Goering because he's the most interesting character and very interesting fucking guy here. But yeah, he's that guy. So
Jesus.
Nuts. Now, I guess Goering
walked in.
Goering and his wife walked by. Mrs. Goering here. Goering peeked through the door and saw Richard's boxing skills, and he came around front and told the owner of the bakery to bring out that massive blonde boy. Yeah. Richard came out, and Goering asked for some bread. Richard was scared to death and grabbed a loaf and handed it to Gehring as his wife, just as the three of them noticed something sitting on top of it. It's a big cockroach.
Oh, no.
He said they all know it was a cockroach, but Richard also knew what could happen if he sold Hermann Gehring bad bread.
Yeah.
What is that? Asked Gehring. Oh, it's just a raisin, answered Richard, and grabbed back the bread and bit right down on the roach and started chewing. He ate a roach. That's a raisin. I'll get that for you.
Yeah. We got one of those accidentally. I'll get you a new one, but I'll eat that. Don't let raisins go to waste around here.
And Gehring told him he was impressed with his integrity for doing that, for not selling him a roach bread. He instead ate the roach. Holy fucking shit, man. That is
gross.
Goddamn disturbing. So he ended up from 46 to 52. The dad earned a record of 26 wins, 20 by knockouts, and 8 losses and 6 draws. So not too bad, actually. Pretty decent fighting career. And, his son is the same way. Here's a painting of his dad, blacksmithing.
Yeah. Oh, well.
There he is. He looks formidable.
Not
as good as Vigo.
Yeah. He was dressed a little better, Vigo.
Oh, my God. That is fucking outstanding.
He's blacksmithing. He can do all kinds of shit.
No shit. So anyway, he said that men wanted to paint him for some reason all the time. So one was done by Steve Strong Sapaio, an artist and professional wrestler and Richard's best friend for years. Strong's painting shows a bearded Richard stoking a fire in preparation for shaping metal. It's Richard as a swordsmith. Strong told me, I've never known anyone who had a more profound, lasting effect on my life. In the 50s, that's when he began touring Europe as a wrestler, and he actually went on the road in Italy with Primo Carnera, who is the boxer from the 40s. He's a big, giant world heavyweight champion guy who turned wrestler because he's done boxing. So that's what they did. The two of them traveled in a small Fiat with the roof down because they didn't fit in the car.
Two giant men with their heads above the fucking windshield.
Yep. So this is disturbing. So we're going to start here with Norbert/Wilhelm. We'll call Wilhelm. And so he raped his dad's wife.
Yep.
Grace. I think that's Grace for you right there.
That's the tip of it, yeah.
Pre-rape would be Grace, actually. But
yeah.
They said that Wilhelm never spoke to his mother, but as a kid, he would go to her home and sit outside on the stairs for hours.
And wait to talk to her or see her?
Well, Rona, this is the sister-daughter, said, quote, she would peek out the curtain and he would never leave. He couldn't understand why his own mother wouldn't talk to him. She wouldn't talk to him. So he'd go sit on the steps and hope maybe she'd come out and talk to him. And she wanted nothing to do with him.
That's a form of stalking?
Yeah, but if you're a child and it's your mother, I think abandoning is more of a crime than the stalking, probably.
Perhaps he knew how she knew how he takes out his rage. Perhaps she felt something. Maybe I don't let that one in.
Once he got a taste for rape, it would be a different connotation. But as an 8-year-old sitting on your step, that's just sad. Some sad shit right there. Shit. So Norbert was very envious, Wilhelm, very envious of his brother Winfried, who, unlike Norbert, had a real mother in the house. And basically, Wilhelm here fought with his dad from a very early age. He was very pissed off at his dad for his illegitimate status.
Right.
Now, Wilhelm wasn't allowed in the family's club where people would come on the weekends in the good clothes to drink and dance. This was a place, they had a club that they would go to, like their own, like a social club.
Not allowed.
He's not allowed. He was mad at this of not being allowed. Yeah. Well, maybe because you're a rapist. That's why.
Well, there's that.
There's good people in here. We don't want them being raped.
Also, that's not your real mom, and I don't want people to see you.
Yeah, we hide you. And what are you doing out of the attic?
We're ashamed of you.
So he's pissed off. So what he did is he shit in a brown paper bag, took a big shit in there, and threw it on the sidewalk right in front of the place to disgust them. So they'd either step in it or smell it, or here's a big bag of shit.
Wait till he hears about lighting it on fire.
Oh, that would have been the best. He never thought of it.
No.
Never thought of it. So he works as a meat packer, a stevedore, so, stock guy, dock worker, a butcher, a longshoreman, a waiter, all sorts of different jobs here. Now, he rapes his stepmom in 1959, and around 1960, he comes to the U.S. to further his wrestling career, and that Richard does. So Norbert then follows him to California. Wilhelm does. Okay. Yeah. So by that time, he's already a big guy. He's 6'1", he's thick, he's big, and he does that. Before he came to the U.S., Richard, his dad, met and married a woman named Ursula, and that's who he raped. Okay, so that is Ursula there. So that is goddamn disturbing. Now, when I guess Rona ended up being raised by an aunt in Germany before moving to the U.S. because Ursula came, she left and just left the kid behind.
Yeah.
So they live a block off Venice Beach in a small, filthy apartment filled with rescued dogs. They had as many as 14 dogs at a time.
God, Jesus.
They said if they rescued a dog on a Tuesday, they'd call it Tuesday. They were coming in and out. Rona said because Rona ended up having to go over to America with them. So she said we had 2 beach towels, a shower with a mop on it in it all the time because we were always wiping off dog pee. Gross. Ugh. A piss smell in shitty motel room. Richard taught Rona to eat healthy and exercise, made her wake up at 4 a.m. to run on the beach. And because that's what Richard and Norbert, and I'll just call him Wilhelm, were doing. She said, he was a tree stump. He was my anchor, Rona said. He had so much class and integrity, meaning the dad, not the brother or father, whatever you want here. Her what she thinks is her dad. So there is an old photo of Richard from Venice Beach next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because he'd hang out and work out, and so did Arnold at the time. Yeah. So he looks just like a fucking Viking. He's got a beard. Here, I'll show him to you.
Oh, let's see.
That's him.
Yeah, no shit. That's his dad, huh?
He's bigger than Arnold, too.
No kidding.
He's taller.
That's why Arnold took steroids to try to get as big as that guy.
That guy looks like a 60s professional wrestler. He looks like one of the Moondogs. Like he's like a big, thick fucking guy. Looks like he just kicked. His hands are fucking enormous. I'm looking at him right now. His knuckles are so wide. Like that guy would kick your fucking ass, man.
Yeah.
Wow, is he a scary man? So they said, Rona said he was so strong he could do a headstand, take his arms away, and do neck exercises.
He would flex his neck while standing on his head.
She said, I mean, he was massive. One handshake or a tap on your back and you'd start seeing stars.
Tap on your back.
That artist/wrestler guy said Richard was respected and revered by the beach community, sort of the mayor. So they met at the Venice weight pen and soon became friends, training together at Gold's Gym, World's Gym, and hanging around people like superstar Billy Graham, who, huge, big wrestler. I mean, he's the guy who he beat Bruno and then Backlund beat him for the title. Big fucking guy. The Russian Bear Ivan Koloff was another guy who beat Bruno for the title. And also Johnny Weissmuller, who was Tarzan.
Right.
And an Olympian, too. Arnold Schwarzenegger would work there. Rona said Arnold was deathly afraid of Richard. He didn't want anyone around that could upstage him. Never saw a man turn as gray as Arnold when Richard entered the gym.
How about that, too? That Arnold was like what he became, and he was intimidated by this guy.
Yeah, by this guy, because I guess he was just he looks like a guy who could just rip a tree out of the ground, Richard. Like, he's that kind of strong.
And he's got personality.
Yeah,
that is frightening.
And he's got an accent like his, too. Yeah, so now I'm not the weird Austrian-German guy. It's this guy now. Richard had little money outside of a little pension from his time in the Army, but he did have some extra cash after paying the $150 rent. If he had extra cash, he'd invite homeless people from the beach to come over for breakfast.
What a nice guy.
Rescue dogs and beach people he's inviting in. They called him King Richard or Richard the Lionheart, and he was beloved in Venice Beach. Wow, that is nice here. Also, the former German soldier who was stationed at Buchenwald could be seen drinking coffee with the old women at the boardwalk near the Jewish Community Center.
Hell yeah.
Hanging out with the old Jew ladies, just fucking chit-chatting.
Drinking coffee.
Just drinking coffee. So, yeah, he did all of that kind of thing. Now, for the time that Rona was living with Richard, whose finishing move was just an elbow, basically, an elbow smash, shared the apartment with them. Richard was retiring from wrestling, but he would act as a manager for the other guy, the strong guy. Strong said he was acting sergeant at arms. We would hit it off instantly as we looked very much like father and son and shared such physical backgrounds. Now, in Strong, they said Richard found the son that he couldn't find in Wilhelm.
Oh, shit.
It's like, this is my son, not you. You suck. According to Rona, Richard said that Wilhelm, despite both living in L.A. and even in the same small apartment building for a small time, didn't talk for many years. They moved. Think about this. He moved from Germany to an apartment complex in fucking Venice, California. You can't get farther away from Germany than that.
Yeah.
This guy came to the same complex, but they didn't talk at all or acknowledge each other.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? Am I
certainly not normal?
Blown away by that for nothing? This is
my head explodes, James.
That's fucking crazy. So I guess Strong said he had very little interaction with Wilhelm, saying that Richard's son tended to hang out with, quote, an alternative Hollywood crowd and was into the extreme of excess. We'll talk about
what does that mean?
Drugs. He likes drugs. Yeah, he's into that kind of shit. The few times they did meet, Strong said he felt uncomfortable around Wilhelm. He said, when he was in the company of Richard and Rona, I could feel the oxygen sucked out of the room. He was a fine athlete as well, but with all of us, when the noise of the crowd is no longer part of your life, it's a hard pill to swallow. Some can deal, others can't.
Sure.
So he ended up making up with his dad at some point because they fought as tag team partners called the Vikings, and they wore big, shiny, fucking stupid Viking outfits, like, you know, like they, whatever, they like
helmets
many Vikings. Yeah, like all the Vikings do in wrestling.
Typical NFL mascot accoutrement.
Yeah, and they wrestled in California at the Los Angeles Coliseum, and I believe that's for the LaBelle brothers, and Vince McMahon Sr. and the LaBelle brothers were in business together, pretty much. They had a business, like a joint thing going on. Not that they shared each other's income, but they had a arrangement, so he ended up wrestling there and at Madison Square Garden, and I'm sure littler places here, but those guys shared talent. So they were the Von Homburg brothers, and they were heels, basically. That's another thing they do in wrestling that I find hilarious, because Johnny Valentine did this. Johnny Valentine's Greg the Hammer Valentine's father. And when Greg came in, he didn't say, this is my son. It was, this is my brother.
Okay.
Even though I'm 48 and he's fucking 19, this is my brother.
Perfect age distance for me to be his father. It's because our parents really had boobs.
Or I'm just older than I look. Yeah. Because that ages them down. Otherwise, if you have a son, now you're the old man. Oh, his old man, people will call you. So now you're old. So anyway, they I guess they said he started going. He thought Grupe sounded too much like groupie, is what Wilhelm said.
Sure, yeah.
And he knew what the term groupie meant. So he started going by Prince Wilhelm von Homburg, which sounded like a bad guy German name. You know, Fritz von Erich. There you go.
It also sounds fucking nice.
Not bad. He paid $5 for a boxing license under the new name, and then he'd use that name forever.
Okay.
He said he would later regret using the name in Hollywood, Wilhelm said. He said, quote, in an industry that was ruled by Jews, it was a really dumb thing to call myself von Homburg. Who do they think that is? A Nazi nobleman? Because bad idea at that point. And he also, he wore the fucking eagle on his chest in the ring to the ring and had a monocle on, and he did the whole shtick.
In a place that he believes is run by Jews.
Yes, he did the whole, well, in wrestling he did that. He didn't go into an audition like that. That would probably get you thrown out into the street, I would imagine.
Yeah. Unless they're casting Hogan's Heroes, you might be
they're like, perfect. Yeah. Just like that. Just go to the set.
Don't stop.
So he learned how to be a showman in wrestling and project the cocky persona and all that kind of shit. And then he switches to boxing in 1962.
Okay.
I guess Richard had been training him in boxing since he was like 10 years old. So he had some amateur bouts overseas, and then here he is.
And a hell of a right, evidently.
Richard has a hell of a right hand. His dad, maybe he'll...
If he taught him.
So in 1962... as Norbert Grupe, he was married to Barbara Wiegert in Los Angeles. So he married an American lady named Barbara. And 6 days later, he has his first fight, his first professional boxing match. He fights Sam Wyatt, and he's a guy who is 1-1 coming into the fight, and this is a draw after 4 rounds. So 0-1 at this point. And he fights Bob Brown, who's 0-3 coming in, 0-4 for his career, so we know how that one goes.
He wins, yeah.
Wilhelm knocks him out in the second round, so he's 1-0-1. Next up, this is a week later, he fights Tony Fern, this is his debut fight, and he'll be 0-2 for his career, so we know how that works. Mm-hmm. Third round knockout here, 2-0. Next up, Al Cummings, 0-3 coming into the fight, 0-5 for his career.
Yeah.
Third round knockout, 3-0-1. Next up, he fights Freeman Harden. He's 4-6 coming in, 7-13 for his career, and Wilhelm gets knocked out in the third round. 3-1-1. Next up, Irish John Davey, who's 1-0 coming into this fight. This fight goes all 6 rounds, and Wilhelm wins by points.
Okay.
Here, and he's fighting as a heavyweight. These guys are 200-something pounds. Okay. He's fighting as a heavyweight. Next up, December 18th. So he fought October 25th, then he fights December 14th, then he fights December 18th. 4 days later.
4 days.
He went 6 rounds, and now he's going to fight again. Mm-hmm. So he fights Cliff Gray, who's 2-11 coming into this fight, 2-26-2 for his career.
Holy. 2-11 coming in, and then it went way worse.
And then it kept getting bad from there. Yeah. This fight goes all 6 rounds. Wilhelm wins on points. So he's 5-1-1. Next up, he fights Roy Smith, who goes by Yancey D. Leroy. Okay. He's 20-25 coming into this fight, and Wilhelm wins on points. It's an 8-round fight at the Coliseum in San Diego. He fights him at a rematch somehow. I don't know how the hell they even arranged this. This is really strange. He fights this guy January 15th, 1963. Then he fights him again January 22nd, 1963.
That's a quick rematch.
He fought the same guy a week later. And they go another 8 rounds.
Oh, my.
And Wilhelm wins on points again. So this guy's like, why'd I do that? 16 rounds for nothing.
Yeah, right.
Next up, Bob Bull Mumford in February of 1963. He's 1-10 coming into this, 1-14 for his career.
His real talent is making sons who make music.
Yes, he has many sons, and they are very rich.
They only play one drum.
He was the one who instructed them to look like that.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them, or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you. the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From WWII, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the WWII app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining WWII Plus in the WWII app or on Apple Podcasts.
So that makes Wilhelm 8-1-1 after he knocks out Mumford Dad. Next up, he fights Cliff Gray again for some reason. TKO in the first round, 9-1-1. Next up, he fights Indian Gus Calfrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah. His last name is Calfrobe, like a robe for a small fucking cow. So Gus Calfrobe here. He is 5-3 coming into this fight, 6-4 for his career. This is at the Moulin Rouge in Hollywood.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, and
It's a real thing.
That's a real place. Calfrobe was knocked down twice in the 6th round and finally KO'd there. So that was that. 10-1-1 for Wilhelm. Next up, Pete Gonzalez, who doesn't have a nickname because he doesn't need one. He's 0-2 coming in, 0-3 for his whole career. So there you go.
That's the end, yeah.
He was knocked down 4 times in 3 rounds and finally knocked out. Now, next up, May 20th, 63, Bobby Sands, who's, for some reason, his alias is Bobby Sand. He just takes the S off. Sandman here. His real name, Weldon Townsend. So nothing to do with that.
Is that right?
Yeah, Weldon. He's 11-10-2 coming into this fight, and this is at the Moulin Rouge again. This is a TKO in the 9th round of a 10-round fight. Okay. Wilhelm was knocked down in the 2nd and 7th rounds, but still came back and knocked him out.
Attaboy.
Good for him. Now, here's an article about his next fight, because right now he's 12-1-1, making some noise.
Yeah.
And this is from the Los Angeles Times, May 26th, 1963, and it says, Homburg adds spark to Vegas title card. They said, this is by a guy named John Hall, and it said, there are those who think he's spreading it on a little too thick, but Wilhelm Von Homburg's sneer and swagger have suddenly become the hottest item in Los Angeles boxing. He boxes exactly like he wrestles. He comes to the ring the same way. He plays the heel.
Oh.
It's how he's trying to get, because if people pay money to see you, fuck it. In 14 pro bouts, the 22-year-old Berlin-born heavyweight with the fire-red hair has yet to prove himself a grade-A fighter, but he's a grade-A character, and the latter seems to be more important. Check with Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay was also a great fucking fighter, and Muhammad Ali. Yeah. So he was calling Muhammad Ali not a great fighter, just a great character in 1963. That's pretty funny. That's going to age well, dipshit. Barnum's folks are ever increasing, so circus people. At any rate, Homburg's in demand. He's just been added to the Harold Johnson-Willie Pastrana light heavyweight title card Saturday night in Las Vegas in hopes he'll help perk up LA interest in the event. Teddy Brenner has been asking about him too, said Vegas promoter Red Greb, indicating national TV is also nibbling. Homburg, whose box score reads 1 near riot at the Olympic last September, 1 wounded referee, 3 unscheduled fistfights at Main Street Gym, and another near riot last Monday night at the Moulin Rouge. 12 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 7 knockouts, 1 canceled TV series, and 5 broken hearts. We'll meet Tommy Merrill in the 6th round semi under Johnson Pastrano. So he's a fucking menace. They're literally like in the last couple of weeks, he's gotten in fights here. A referee got hurt. He's brawling at the gym. He's a crazy person.
Wild.
He's fucking crazy. Greb, the promoter, said, I hear he's a red-hot attraction, but can he fight? It was a tough question. Homburg was floored twice last Monday night by Bobby Sand before getting up to win by KO in the 9th. He's really only a light heavy, scaling at 176. There was no cruiserweight back then, so you were a heavyweight if you were more than a fucking super middleweight or whatever. And many of his moves are still amateurish, but he's got 2 big pluses going for him, ambition and courage as well, and his knack for stirring up emotions. He could be very good, but there's a long way to go. If Art Aragon were still going to the fights, he'd love him. Gene Tunney would be horrified. Okay. June 1st, 63, at that card, he fights Tommy Merrill, who is a 24-18-3 fighter coming into this fight. Mm-hmm. This will be the last fight of his career. It is no, it's a draw. It's a draw, complete draw on the cards. Goes all 6 rounds, and it's a draw. So he's 12-1-2. He's going to fight Bobby Sands again here, who he went down twice and came back to win. This time he fights him, and they still go to the 9th round. It's still a TKO, but Wilhelm doesn't get knocked down a couple times first. Mm-hmm. Next up, he fights Chuck Leslie, who's 11-5 coming in. He'll end up 29-26-6 in his career. So, a lot of fights anyway. This is a loss. It goes all 10 rounds, and he loses on the cards.
Damn it.
So he's 13-2-2. Now, here is an episode here, or this should be the episode title, because they talk about him as being short on class and long on arrogance here in this next title, or this next article. September 19th, 1963, Los Angeles Times, by a guy named Sid Ziff, who looks exactly like he sounds.
What does that mean?
Just a dorky guy with glasses, Sid Ziff. And the title of this article is Beatnik of the Ring. And beatnik is an insult from a guy named Sid Ziff.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a compliment. That's like somebody, Archie Bunker calling somebody a hippie. It's not
counterculture shit. Yeah.
And here is, by the way, Vigo as a young man. Here's a picture of him. I'll turn the monitor to you there.
Wow.
There he is.
What does he look like?
Just like a big blockhead. He's got a big fucking head on him, this guy. So they said, forget your almost lack of interest in boxing for a moment. The Olympic tonight features a boxing beatnik in its main event. A boxing beatnik.
Yeah, right.
Wilhelm Von Homburg, fucking Kerouac's going to get in the ring and knock some people around.
Some scumbag
fucking
leading the charge.
Ginsburg will be there. Wilhelm von Homburg is an interesting 23-year-old heavyweight who's brought a touch of carny atmosphere to the reasonably honest business of prize fighting. He has adopted the masquerade of a wrestler. His blonde hair, he swears it's natural, hangs in loose disarray down his back and down the back and sides. His costume consists of black corduroy pants with narrow cuffs, black turtleneck pullover sweater, red corduroy jacket, and small boots, Italian style. He has the same profile and bears a striking resemblance to Gorgeous George, who was the big wrestler of that time, who they say that Gorgeous George got a lot of people to buy fucking TVs to watch him get beat. That was a thing back then.
Yeah.
So he says, the perfumed mat man, he sneers insolently at reporters and treats others in his own profession with contempt. He has only to make an appearance and he is the villain. This is the stuff wrestling is made of, but there is protection to be had on the mat and none at all in the prize ring. Yeah, it's all staged in the ring, but not in boxing. Well, I mean, some of it is, but
there's certainly going to be a couple of outcomes that are rigged.
I would say. He said, even the name Wilhelm von Homburg is an invention. And Wilhelm said, quote, I thought it up out of the air, he says indifferently. His real name is Norbert Grupe. He came from Germany 2.5 years ago. Yeah, that's a 2.5 years ago to join his father, who was a professional wrestler in the Chicago area known as the Viking. Wilhelm planned to work with him as his valet. It's a charade long familiar with this racket. The father is from West Berlin, but advertises himself from East Berlin to make himself seem nastier. Wilhelm
Is East Berlin where the pieces of shit are from?
Well, East Berlin was communist in the 50s and 60s. That's
okay.
where Stalin drew the line there. So it's the non-democratic part. Wilhelm has learned to speak English fluently in the brief time he's been in this country. And Wilhelm said, quote, I had to pick it up. Nobody was going to learn German just to talk to me. That is how it worked. I guess so. Von Homburg was pure inspiration, but Wilhelm is one of the boxer's many names. He says in Germany, everybody has 4 or 5 names. They name you for your uncles, cousins, and your grandfathers. They want to do everybody in the family a favor. Wilhelm was one of them. So it's probably Wilhelm, or, Norbert, right. Wilhelm, this one, that one, whatever the fuck. So the next part of the article is short on class, long on arrogance. It was an accidental meeting with his manager, Heinrich Friedrich Wilhelm August von Stroom, better known locally as Baron von Stroom, that moved Wilhelm to turn boxing. turned to boxing. The Baron has been gathering heavyweights for 40 years. Some have turned out to be very good. It may be that Von Homburg will get somewhere. He has no science, but he has great fury. He fights like a pack of hungry wildcats. Mainly it's because he does not like his opponents. He sees no reason why he should like anyone, especially someone who's trying to beat him up. That's why he seldom will shake hands before the bell. He won't knock gloves.
Is that right?
He said, if I do not like you, I won't shake hands with you. You don't have to shake hands with people you don't like. Fair enough. Yeah. Very German of you.
Very aggressive, too, and
yeah,
abrasive.
Aggressive German, like stereotype German.
Yeah.
He dismisses with contempt reports that he has a weak chin. He says, I think I am pretty good. I think I will make something of myself, whiz or without help from the press. That's
Hell yeah.
They wrote in his accent, whiz or without.
Will ask the question.
So one pictures Wilhelm seated at a table in some smoke-filled Greenwich Village cellar. He would be the type, calling him a beatnik, to be in the Greenwich Village with some poet shit going on. I asked, what do you do between fights? I exist, he said loftily. I have a horse, a motorcycle, and a car. I speak 5 languages, English, German, Lower English, and about people. About people? That's not a language. That's literally what he said.
You speak 2 languages.
Yeah, 2. You speak English and German. And I don't know, there might be German and Lower German, but there isn't English and Lower English. English is English. Either doing it wrong or not.
Does he think he speaks holler? Is that what?
I guess.
What is he talking about?
Then they go on. He glared triumphantly about him. He had proved he had a sense of humor. They said, and what's your ambition, Wilhelm? And he said, to be a rich man. I want to live. Okay. He said, when I'm 25, I want to retire. I don't want to work anymore.
Who the fuck doesn't?
Yeah, no shit. The author here goes on to say he's not giving himself much time, being 23 now. That I know, he snapped with an intentional sneer. What do you think of American girls, I asked him. Quote, I haven't found them too exciting. You can have them. American girls are spoiled. They know everything, how to double-cross you and get all your dough. Well, he figured that out about athletes anyway, groupies and shit. They said, and European girls are different? He said, they don't compare. He said, but this is a long story. To find out, you must go to Europe, but not just for 15 or 20 days. You must have sex with many European women over the course
several months
of a long period of time. September 19th, 1963, he fights again. Billy Stevens, 17-8 coming in at the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles. Wilhelm's going to lose on points after 10 rounds. So we're still in 63. He's fought 18 times in like a year and a half, which is pretty...
That's unbelievable.
That's a shitload, man. So November 18th, 63, he fights Mo Ratliff, who's 17-22 coming into this fight. And he's going to be 17-23 when he ends his career because last fight of his career, and this is a split decision win after 10 rounds for Wilhelm. Here is an article from November 20th, 1963, and they talk about the Des Moines Register. It talks about his real name. Wilhelm's real name is Norbert Grupe, which you see leaves a great deal to be desired. Norbert has 18 fights, taking on such illustrious pugilists as Gus Calfrope, Freeman Harden, and Sam Wyatt. He's working off a winning string of no fights. He has lost his last 2 in a row. He blames myopic referees, sunspots, the bomb, and economic conditions in general, to say nothing of zebrats, meaning the broads, by the way, that means, who will just not leave him alone. He's been stopped only once in his career by Freeman Harden, who he characterized sneeringly as a nobody. Norbert has a training program modeled after such celebrity athletes as Tommy Manville and King Farouk. He gets his road work in on the dance floor. He's usually seen in a company of a, quote, cousin, whom he has great many of in this country, mostly female. Mm-hmm. He has beer for breakfast because the coffee in this country is so lousy. And also he's an alcoholic. When his manager insisted on early morning road work, Norbert brought a horse. There you go. Here, I can ride this in the morning. The horse has
It's very funny that he opts for other coffee or just beer, really, because American coffee is for pussies? Like, what is
Doesn't
it?
like it. Not good like
All
that
right.
German coffee.
Yeah.
They say the horse, as a result, is in excellent shape. After lunch, the most exercise Norbert gets is blowing his nose. He says that he thinks gigolo would be his most appealing profession.
Okay.
They said Wilhelm, nay Norbert, has been, in his brief 23-year career on this earth, an addition to a wrestler, a butcher, bartender, waiter, bricklayer, truck driver, fighter, and gigolo. The only one he cared for was the last. Right. He is available for anything short of biting the heads off of chickens. Wow. He said he's handsome in a Siegfriedian kind of way. I don't think they mean Anne Roy. The eyes are blue and limpid, the mouth large and generous. The teeth are even. The hands are white and soft, but as huge as meat platters. If Norbert can put together a winning streak of one, he proposes to challenge Liston forthwith. Sonny Liston.
What?
If you've heard his episode, I don't think he wants to fight Sonny Liston. And even though Norbert went just far enough in school to learn to make change, he expects to hold a decided intellectual edge over Liston, which will be useful only if Liston chooses to turn the match into a debate over foreign policy. If worse comes to worse, Norbert feels he can take over the old Helmut Dantine roles. He looks, he admits modestly, quote, simply gorgeous, he says. I'm simply gorgeous. In a Luftwaffe's pilot's uniform, although I expect he'd have to put his hair up in a bun to get it under that 50 mission crush cap. The accent is legit enough, having been picked up around West German beer halls as a kid. Okay. Fights Bob McKinney in January of 1964. Now, Bob McKinney is also called Irish Babe McCarthy by another guy, so I got him way off.
Yeah.
Bob's 28-4 coming into this fight.
Jesus.
Not too shabby here. This is at the New York Coliseum in the Bronx, which was a newly opened shitty thing. The ref is Arthur Mercante, who's still doing fights 30, 40 years later. That's crazy. He wins by TKO in the ninth, Norbert does, and here's an action shot of him fighting.
Here it comes.
Look at his hair.
Look at him.
His hair's slightly shaggy. It's not below his ears or anything. The title of this picture is Long Hair at the Coliseum.
Are you sure he's not the one on the left?
I'm positive. That's him.
Wow.
Yeah. A lightweight Wilhelm Von Homburg who wears his long blonde hair, sends a right to the jaw of Bob McKinney. That's him.
No shit.
Yeah. Bob McKinney kind of looks like A.C. Slater in that black and white picture.
He certainly looks nice.
Now, Bob just quit in the ninth round, said he was dizzy.
Quit.
Stopped in the ninth round, said, I'm fucking done. He said, because my head feels so dizzy, I just can't go on. It's fucking crazy. He basically stopped. I'll let this guy describe it. He said, the night of the fight, here we go. Both fighters threw a series of mighty facial contortions at each other. By the seventh round, Mr. McCarthy's face was so sore from grimacing, clearly he had trained with the wrong muscles, that he forgot to make a face, whereupon Wilhelm von Homburg delivered a series of punches to the jaw. Wilhelm did it again in round 8. As the bell rang for round 9, Wilhelm leaped from his stool and dashed across the ring to Irish Babe. That's what this guy's calling him. Determined to deliver the coup de grace. With a calm, deliberate gesture, not unlike Moses delivering a message to the Red Sea, Irish Babe McCarthy, not his name, thrust his left hand forward like a traffic cop wearing boxing glove and hollered, "Hold it." I don't know, that's part of the sport. Yeah. Wilhelm obediently stopped.
Really?
Then McCarthy turned his back to his antagonist, leaned against the ropes, and faced the fascinated spectators. Quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, I really hate to spoil your evening, but this announcement is necessary. As you can see, I'm just not getting anywhere here, and I've had the same feeling my last few fights. Therefore, this is really pointless."
It really is. Yeah.
He said, "Consequently, I take this opportunity to announce my retirement from boxing."
He's done.
The decision is final. Then he turned to Wilhelm and bowed, and then turned to the audience and bowed, grabbed his robe, wrapped it around himself, and fucking took off, left the ring.
Around himself. Nobody even bothered to wrap him up.
Give me that. Peace, bitches.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
It was 10 minutes before visitors were allowed into his dressing room. They said the eye had been nearly closed, was closed all the way, and a gash laid open. He said, "Don't knock me, guys. I was dizzy. I was dizzy for a couple of rounds, but in that last one it got worse. There's no reason for it. I just couldn't get things clear." He was just jabbing me in that last round. Light taps they were, but they felt like hard rights or something. I thought I was hearing bells and like that. He had a concussion, that's why.
Yeah.
McKinney said that as if he were ashamed of what he had done. In 34 fights, he'd been beaten only 4 times. Then he braced himself like a man who says, quote, "What am I apologizing for?" And he lashed out. "Look, I don't have to stay in that lousy ring and get killed, do I? I owe it to myself and my family to stay alive and well. Hell, I don't need this thing. I'm no dummy. I can get a job. I've been offered lots of positions. I can always get a good job, a safe job." Yeah, he said, maybe it's mental, fellows. Maybe that's all it is, but I'm going to have a doctor check me out. My wife is all the family I got, but she's the sweetest kid in the world, and I owe her that.
The sweetest kid, Jesus.
Sweetest kid in the world, yeah. That's how they talk back then, though. She's a sweet kid, that one.
Yeah.
So Wilhelm's 15-3-2. And, Von Homburg here said, I do not wear a crew cut because I don't want people to think I came out of the army or prison. Because they asked him, why do you have such long hair? Right, yeah, his hair is not long.
No,
it's not.
It's tough as shoulders.
It wouldn't even be a mullet. It's barely below the hairline in the back, and it's just sitting on top of his ears. Like the Beatles have way longer hair than him at this point. Like, it's fucking crazy. So, but that's why he doesn't want to do that. So, by the way, in this newspaper in 1964, there's an article right by it that said grid fatalities dropped 26%, meaning football. Mm-hmm. Football fatalities dropped 26% in 1963 compared to the previous year.
What happened in 63? What did they...
Shit. They said that the Football Coaches Association said the deaths in the sport went from 19 in 1961 and 62 to 14 last year.
Yeah, we're really getting so much better.
11 of them were in high school.
Oh, okay.
One each in sandlot, professional, and college play. So mainly high school kids.
Pretty safe sport then.
He said 8 football fatalities last year were ascribed to indirect causes such as heart failure, perforated aortas, things like that, like Corey Stringer type shit. Athletes that don't know they have a heart issue. So that's interesting. Next up here, you can, by the way, this article below, in case you're looking for it, merely shrinking hemorrhoids is not enough.
Oh, no. You gotta
not enough. No.
Altogether.
Yep, you got to learn read how a clinically proven formula now brings a more complete, longer-lasting relief.
Great, because a small hemorrhoid is just as annoying as a big one.
Can't just shrink them. No.
No.
He fights Roy Creer up next here, April 7th, 1964. 0-3 coming in, and Wilhelm TKOs him in the 5th round, making him 16-3-2. This is at the Stockyards Coliseum in Oklahoma City. I bet you can smell poop there.
I'm sure it's certainly around.
You can. Now, 1964 in April, that was April 7th. This is April 19th. Boston Globe, under the TV listings for 10 o'clock, Gunsmoke, the TV show, which, by the way, was the longest running live-action television show in history. I think it was over 20 years it ran.
Really?
Here it says Vic Perrin, John Newman, Wilhelm Von Homburg. He's in it this week. He got an acting job.
Wow.
A country bumpkin who forsakes farming to seek his fortune in the city finds himself promoting a prize fight. And that's where Wilhelm comes in as the prize fighter. There's an article saying the script is favorable to Von Homburg, who weighs 180 pounds. His opponent scaled 147. We went out to the Gunsmoke set and found Wilhelm wearing long underwear-type boxing togs and a black and red robe. His face was a mess of make-believe bruises. His opponent didn't look too bad, which indicated that he runs during much of the show. I worked in German television, mostly stunt work, said Wilhelm, who was at one time the junior member of a 2-man wrestling team. His father was the senior member. The 23-year-old Von Homburg insists that he's taking acting work seriously. It's no easy cup of schnapps, he said, even when comparing it to a punch in the nose. No easy cup of schnapps.
I've never thought schnapps was easy. That's the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
And I never thought to drink a cup of it.
And Nasty. All you got to do is swallow it. It's not easy.
He said, a cut doesn't hurt. I had 2 in my last 2 fights. Just a couple of stitches will take care of a cut. They said, brave man, that Wilhelm, talking about stitches that way. He said, it's no easy bread acting. I think real acting takes a lot of strength, and you have to be emotionally able. I mean dramatic stuff, not this throw a line here and there. That's not much of a headache. What I'm doing is easy, but if I'm going to be an Academy Award winner here, they said Von Homburg's status as an actor is on par with his rating as a fighter. He's got a long way to go. In fact, that's what he humbly brings himself to admit. Quote, if you're a big actor like John Arness, I don't know who the fuck that is. Jim Arness, sorry. Never heard of him. Or a big fighter like Sonny Liston, you make a lot of money. If you're a little actor like me or a little fighter like me, you don't make much. And by the way, if you happen to be in Des Moines that night when that article came out, head over to the Green Acres Drive-In Theater where they're playing two adult movies at the drive-in.
Oh, a double feature.
You want to have huge dicks on a giant outdoor screen that children can drive by. Wow, this is crazy. One of the movies is That Kind of Girl. And it says high school age and over must see.
Okay. And over.
And then the next up is A Question of Adultery, the most explosive problem of our time.
Is it?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. In 1964 here,
golly,
he ends up going over to Germany here, and they talk about basically he learned this persona not only from wrestling, but also from Muhammad Ali at the time, who was becoming very famous as a boxer, and he did wrestling, so he was like, oh, that's just what you do.
Right.
You know, because Muhammad Ali got his shtick from wrestling, he said. I mean, that was his whole thing from Gorgeous George was his whole deal. So he does all of that, and he grew his blonde hair over his ears, and they would call him the Beetle Boxer because of his long hair over his ears is long.
From Germany, the Beetle.
He in Germany while boxing, he wore fur coats, smoked cigars, taunted the referees, trainers, and crowds.
Okay,
He posed in the ring. He hit you a couple times, then posed like a wrestler and walked around town like he owned it. He spat at the crowd. People still tell me I was the first boxer they ever went to see, he said years later. And, he also would win a lot. And a lot of these guys, too, he's fighting at like 180. This next fight, May 8th, 1964 in Germany, he fights Uli Ritter. He's weighs in at 179. His opponent's 215.
Holy.
That's a lot bigger.
40 pounds? 30?
Yeah, 30 pounds, 35 pounds. And that his opponent's also a 24, 18, and 7 fighter, too. So he's a big guy. And he goes the distance with the guy.
Really?
And gets there's a draw on points. So it's 16-3-3. If there was a cruiserweight division, he'd be dominating it back then. Because everybody he fights is over 200 pounds. May 29th, 1964, later in the month, he fights Gene Hubin, who this is in Oldenburg in Germany here. KO in 6 rounds for Wilhelm. So he's 17-3-3. He's also acting. There's the episode of Gunsmoke called The Promoter. He played a bare-knuckle boxer named Otto who's offered a large bribe to throw the fight. And somebody says to him, young man, you ever stop to think about what you're going to do for a living when you get a little bit older? And Wilhelm's line is, I'm too busy trying to stay alive in my youth, Doc. Okay. Next up, November 6, 1964, he fights Lard. Lard is his first name. Lard. Lard Olaf Norling.
Sure. Why not?
Wow. This goes 9 rounds, and Wilhelm wins with a TKO. So 18-3-3. Next up, Paulie Bomber Kraus. And this is also in Germany. 3rd round knockout for Wilhelm, 19-3-3. Next up, December 5th, 64, Joseph Syoz, S-Y-O-Z. Soz?
Yep.
Oh, no.
Syoz.
2-10 coming in, so not very good. 2-11 for his career, so you know what happened here.
Yeah, we'll forget him now.
TKO in the 10th round, never think of him again. Next up, he fights Piero Tomasoni, January 16th, 1965. He's a 23-3-3 fighter coming in.
Okay.
Not bad, and he beats Wilhelm on points. Goes all 10 rounds, and unanimous decision for Piero here. 20 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws for our guy. He's going to fight Uli Ritter again, February 20th. So one more fight against Uli Ritter here. TKOs him in the 6th round. Next up, April 2nd, 65, Jose Angel Manzor. He's 30, 24, and 13 coming in. And Wilhelm beats him by TKO.
Oh, yeah.
This is in Vienna. Not bad. Vienna waits for you, and you go over there and knock the shit out of people. Good thing. So 8 and 10, or eighth round out of 10 rounds there. So the article here says Norbert Grupe of Berlin, who calls himself the Prince of Homburg, proved more than a clown when he stopped rugged Argentine heavyweight champion Jose Manzor in the 8th round. The referee stopped the fight Friday night as Manzor, who had taken repeated hard lefts to the head throughout the fight, appeared to be in a state of shock.
Ooh.
He was out on his feet, is what it was. Jesus.
It was a shock.
Fucking A. And that is, well, he'll have a few more fights, but he's only going to, from this point in his career, that guy's going to go 2-8. So
is that right?
Yeah, I think he fucked them all up there.
No kidding.
April 29th, 1965, he fights Bas van Duvenbode.
Hell yeah.
Wow. His real name, birth name, is Bastian Adrenius van Duvenbode. Oof. 12-5-4 coming in, and knockout in the 4th round for Wilhelm. So he's 23-4-3. That's a good record.
He's a great fighter.
This isn't bad. Apparently he's not very skilled, but he fucking beats people. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
He's not the greatest technical fighter. He doesn't have a lot of amateur background or anything.
Haymakers, just catches them, whatever. However he does it, he's winning.
May 28th, 1965, Archie McBride, he fights 31-17 coming into this fight, and it's a draw. It's a draw again. 10 rounds, it's a draw. So he's 23-4-4 now. He's going to do a little acting. He's in a movie. Looks like an Italian movie or something here. It's called Morituri. And a war pacifist is blackmailed to pose as an SS officer and to disable the scuttling explosives on a freighter carrying rubber cargo to be captured by the Allies. This is the most complicated log line I've ever heard in my life. I don't know what the fuck they just said. I lost all of that.
He's fighting for something.
Yeah. Oh, it's got Yul Brynner and Marlon Brando in it.
Oh,
It's a big
really?
movie. It's not a little Italian movie. Yul Brynner and fucking Marlon Brando. Yeah, it's 7 out of 10 on IMDb. And 2 hours. Wilhelm plays a crew member.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. May 14th, 1966, Eric Schopner, he fights 34-1 coming into this fight.
Wow.
For Schopner. 34-1-4. So 4 draws. This fight goes all 10 rounds. It's a draw. And Schopner never fights again. He's going to finish his career 34-1-5.
How about that?
That is great. He must have gave him second thoughts about his career. So he's going to act again. He's in The Last of the Secret Agents, which is a 1966 comedy. Marty and Steve, American tourists in France, are given a multi-purpose umbrella and pitted against an international band of art thieves. Among the stolen treasures is the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. This looks like shit. It says 4.6 stars out of 10 on IMDb.
How do you steal the Statue of Liberty?
I don't know how you steal an island.
Minions? What's
You'd have
going
to.
on?
They bolted it to that island, man. You'd really have to do a lot.
It's really anchored down.
He's also in a movie he's in an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Which one?
Alfred Hitchcock directs him. It's a Paul Newman, Julie Andrews movie called Torn Curtain.
Holy.
This guy acted with Paul Newman. Wow. An American scientist publicly defects to East Germany as a part of a cloak and dagger mission to find the solution for a formula resin before planning an escape back to the West. And Von Homburg plays blonde twin and bus in that. Okay. He's going to do a little more acting. He's in The Cat. It looks like Sean Connery in that picture.
Sean Connery?
Looks like Sean Connery. Yeah. 1966 movie here. It's an 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. The other one's only a 6.6, that Hitchcock one. Must not have been a good Hitchcock. A former circus aerialist and reformed cat burglar offers his services as a professional bodyguard. And he plays
He's doing a lot of tough
Tony.
Man shit in the movies.
Yeah. That's all it is. Acting here. He does some more acting. He's in a TV series called Jericho, which was on from 66 to 67. Yeah. The Jericho team is a trio of Allied specialists who operate as intelligence agents and saboteurs behind German lines. He's always playing a German. I mean, he's not going to play like he's from Iowa with that accent.
No.
Franklin Shepard of American Army Intelligence is their commanding officer and chief planner. Jean-Gaston André of the Free French Air Force is the team's demolitions and weapons expert. Nicholas Gage of the British Navy is a former circus performer whose specialty is getting in and out of German installations. So it's like a shitty war-based Ocean's 11, basically. Okay. He played a German sergeant in one episode.
Yeah, of course he did.
There you go. November 19th, 1966, he's going to fight Piero Del Papa. He's a 30-3 fighter.
Yeah.
Piero Del Papa. This
bad.
fight, it's a 15-round fight. It's a title fight for the European light heavyweight title.
Oh, I can't believe they did that.
Fucking crazy. That goes into the 11th round when a fight is called and Wilhelm is disqualified.
Wow.
He was ahead on points. He knocked Del Papa down in the first round, was ahead on points, and was, I guess this was a big controversy that they stopped this fight for headbutting.
Okay.
If that was true, Holyfield would never have a fight. He'd never have a fight go past the third round if he couldn't headbutt, because that was half his attack. His fucking
Wilhelm's the headbutter?
He's the headbutter, and he loses the fight because of the headbutting, and he could have won.
In Ghostbusters, he's got a giant fucking noggin.
Yep, and by the way, this Piero Del Papa, him going down in the first round, it was the first time he's ever been down in a fight.
Oh.
36 pro fights, the first time he's ever been down.
How about it?
So he did it with Richard, Wilhelm said he did it with Richard's right, acknowledging it's his dad's right hand that he taught me.
Yeah.
They said he looked like the better fighter for most of the match, but in the 11th, the French ref declared what now looks like a subtle head movement to be an illegal headbutt and called the match for Del Papa. Wow. Norbert would later say, I was the best thing German boxing had back then, and then I had a 70-year-old Frenchman as the referee. We all know what the Germans did to his parents and his sister. So he said the Frenchman didn't like me because I was German, basically. So he's 23-5-5 now. There's a filmmaker who made a boxing documentary about Wilhelm here called Der Boxprinz, the boxing prince in German. In the film, they watch the Del Papa match together, and Norbert stares at his younger self throwing hard rights and taking hard rights. And the film chronicles the darker side of Norbert's life from that era, including an infamous TV interview that he gave in 1969 at the tail end of his boxing career. This is very interesting. He got TKO'd and basically humiliated by Oscar Bonavena, an Argentinian guy who had gone the distance with Joe Frazier 2 matches earlier.
Wow.
So a good fucking boxer. I guess they were talking about this on a German interview show, and the host, Rainier Gunzler, started off by asking Norbert in German, how do you feel after those 5 knockdowns last night?
What did he say?
The camera is close up on Norbert's face, his blonde mustache and thick lips and his angry eyes. Norbert sarcastically asks, that was last night? Then Gunzler says, you injured your ankle during one of the knockdowns. Did you stumble? Norbert laughs and looks away, ignoring the small TV man's taunt. Gunzler asks another question, and Norbert looks him straight in the eyes and says nothing. He licks his lips and stares at the host. He gets this look, and he's if you saw the Vigo painting, he's a very scary-looking man when he wants to be.
Menacing shit.
For the next minute and a half, Norbert refuses to respond to any of Gunzler's questions and comments. He pulled a Marshawn Lynch here.
Yeah. I'm here so I don't get fined.
Yep. He said it's not boring television. The explosion obviously happening behind Norbert's smile and the fact that he could get up at any second and rip this man's head off makes it riveting. Is he going to kill him? So Rona said Norbert kept his cool. I could see that he was about to go off. That guy came close to getting choked out. And later on, the documentarian said all men over 50 years old know about this interview. It's very famous in Germany, apparently.
Is that right?
Very famous. Krosky's film shows Norbert watching the Del Papa fight from 3 decades earlier and raging about the unfairness of the headbutt-induced disqualification. Jesus, it wasn't the title I was after. It was the cash, he says. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to win and make the money. Yeah. He said if Norbert had won and gotten the chance for an even bigger bout, he says, I'm sure I would have bet all my winnings on my opponent, and I would have gone down convincingly and made a terrible scene. I'd planned the whole thing. He was going to throw the next fight after betting on himself. He's like, after betting on his opponent.
Yeah.
I'm not in this for glory. I'm in this for fucking money. So 66, he fights Archie McBride here in Frankfurt, and he KOs him in the 9th round. He loves going into the late rounds here. Jesus Christ. May 3rd, 1967, he fights Ray Patterson, who's 16-7, and this goes all 10 rounds again, and it's a draw again.
Wow.
These German judges just hand out draws like candy.
Well, it builds suspense, I
We
suppose.
can't decide. I think
Come back for the next one.
like they have such a bad reputation. They're trying to be nice to everybody now. They're like, everybody win. Everybody win, okay? Okay. Everybody happy with Germany?
Come back for the next fight.
Yeah. It's
Maybe win again.
Maybe again. 24, 5, and 6 in his career now. He's also going to do more acting. 1967, he's in a comedy called Pension Clausewitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's German, or it's got to be German. I've never heard any of these people. Stemke becomes the owner of a Berlin brothel. Yeah, if your leading character's name is Stemke, it's not American.
Who's a leader of a brothel.
Jesus. In order to refresh the establishment, he immediately hires 2 attractive young ladies. And guess what he plays in this, Wilhelm?
Pimp?
An American.
Oh.
Why would you?
Well,
okay, he's the most American-looking German we could find in Germany. Over here, he plays Germans. Over there, he plays some fucking Americans. So then he's also in a TV show called The Invaders, which the description is, aliens are here, posing as human and not friendly. Yeah. So it's like that weird Fox show in the 90s. Remember that?
Yeah, but he does look like an alien.
He does. David Vincent has seen them land and now must evade them and convince others of their presence while not being put in the body hatch. And Von Homburg plays an alien patient.
Yeah.
So I think he's a person. I think he's a person who's a patient of an alien. He's been taken by the aliens.
Okay.
I don't know, though. December 15th, 1967, Paul Roux, R-O-U-X, part R.
It's French, that's for sure.
It's something. Yeah. He's 52, 14, and 7 coming into this fight.
Oh, pretty good.
Wilhelm knocks him out in the 5th round.
Wow.
Not bad. Back to acting. He's in The Devil's Brigade here.
Sure.
An action movie. A U.S. Army lieutenant colonel is tasked with forming an elite commando-style unit from crack Canadian troops and the dregs of the U.S. Army.
Okay.
It has William Holden in it. Look at that. Okay. He plays Fritz in that movie.
Yeah.
Not shocking.
The range.
The range from a German guy to an American who looks German. One of the two. April 11th, 1968, Dave Bailey, he fights, 15 and 17 coming in, and he loses to this guy.
Why?
Goes all 10 rounds, he loses on points.
Okay.
I mean, maybe he's not training because he's acting. That could probably be it. He's in another movie now, 1968, The Hell with Heroes. And that is in 1946, North Africa. 2 former U.S. Air Force pilots are forced to work for an international smuggler to get money needed for their return to civilian life after fighting in World War II. And he plays Hans.
Might as well,
as everybody would know.
Franz,
whatever. Another role, he's in The Wild Wild West, the TV show that got that terrible movie remake.
But the TV show is a big deal.
That was a big deal. It was on for 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
It has an 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb, too. And he plays Herr Hess, Abel Garrison, Gunther Pierce. He's in 3 different episodes. They liked him. They actually liked him. He's also maybe different characters, but still. He's also in The Wrecking Crew, which is a movie starring Dean Martin.
Really?
Dean Martin starring movie, 1968, action-adventure comedy, 5.4 on IMDb. Gold bullion worth $1 billion, so $1 billion US dollars, has been stolen from a hijacked train in Denmark. The main suspect is Count Massimo Contini. The U.S. government sends Matt Helm, one of its top agents, to recover the gold, and I assume that's Dean Martin. And on the front, it's a picture of Dean looking all happy with 2 wrecking balls are next to him with girls on them, like hanging off. Like, that's going to work out here. And Wilhelm plays Gregor in that. August 30th, 68, Rudolf Neering, he fights, who's a 28, 19, and 11 fighter. And Wilhelm wins by TKO in the 8th round, 26, 6, and 6. So he's got 666 right there in there for him.
Oh, yeah.
September 18th, 1968, Franklin Arundel, 1-4 coming in, and Wilhelm KOs him in the third round in Vienna, making him 27 wins now. November 8th, 1968, Gerhard Zeck, he fights, 33-8-3, and goes all 10 rounds, but he wins on points. And they say in this article from the Nevada State Journal that heavyweight, the title is Loyal Crowd Helps Grupe.
How so?
Heavyweight Norbert Grupe remained in contention for the West German boxing title because of the fierce crowd partisanship. The judges called Grupe's 10-round elimination bout with, Gerhard Zeck, that's right, his newspapers suck, a draw Friday night, but they changed the verdict when an angry, bottle-throwing throng invaded the ring. They called a draw, the crowd fucking rioted, and they said, never mind, he wins. That is
you guys are all
crazy.
Right. Yeah. You guys watched.
Wow. They explained it later, saying that the referee had made an error in adding up the points on his scorecard. So it was never a draw.
He's just bad at math. You guys are right.
Wow.
You win. Yeah.
Next up, January 3rd, 1969, Giulio Rinaldi, he fights. 40 wins, 11 losses coming into this fight.
Not bad.
TKO win for our friend here. And there's actually a video clip of this.
Hell yeah.
You want to see a little Norbert getting his fucking...
Is there some black and white? 69, there's some color, right?
Depends on where it's filmed.
Yeah.
I mean, the TVs were in color. Everybody was broadcasting in color back then, but people had black and white TVs.
Where did they fight?
This is in Schauenberg, Germany.
Okay. Yeah.
So here we go. Let me do this. We will check out what Wilhelm von Homburg fucking does here. And let's see. Well, when the internet's not so slow, we'll do that. But I don't know why it's doing that to me. There we go.
It buffers, James.
There you go, internet. Now we're working. Now we're working. And that. Okay. Come on. This is Giulio Rinaldi. Here we go. Come on and play.
Here's
Giulio.
Okay. Oh, a little black and white. Gong fight.
He is the blonde one, obviously.
He is very blonde.
Very blonde mustache. Looks like Boomer Esiason with a big mustache.
He does, yeah.
The guy he's fighting looks a lot thicker than him, too.
He looks like that guy in King of the Hill that bangs everybody.
Yeah. Look
Who's
at
that old lady?
Some old German.
Yeah.
Some old German twat there.
Oh, this Giulio has his numbered, right?
He seems to. He's really punching the fuck out of him here. This is just highlights of the fight.
Okay. All right.
But no, von Homburg, Wilhelm knocks him out in the fucking 5th round.
Is that right?
Yeah, so you can see, like, he's not the most skillful guy.
No.
His stance is weird, everything's weird, but he'll knock your ass out. So he's 29-6-6 now.
Yeah.
Almost 30 wins. He's going to have a rematch against Giulio here and lose by decision that time.
Uh-oh.
So now
we got it set up for a big payday.
And that's it. Rubber match coming up, baby.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt he was going to lose that on points.
Yeah.
This is, again, he fights him, and this time he TKOs him in the 7th round. Wilhelm threw that second fight, guaranteed.
You think so?
Fuck yeah. They said,
think
you lose this fight.
Yeah.
I think they said, you lose this fight, the rubber match is where the money is. And he said, I'll lose this fight. Don't worry. Don't you worry about that.
I will throw this fight, and I'll bet on Giulio Ronaldo. Yeah.
And it says, Grupe beats Rinaldi in non-title fight, the article says. Rinaldi with blows to the head. He, I guess, battered him, it says, and won a technical knockout after the 7th round of a non-title bout. The ring doctor said a cut on Rinaldi's eyebrow was too bad for the fighter to continue. Grupe, fighting under the name Wilhelm von Homburg, weighed 187 pounds, 2 pounds more than Rinaldi. In a non-title preliminary match, never mind. Okay, 30 wins, 7 losses, 6 draws. Next up, we have here Oscar Benavina, whose alias is Ringo for some reason.
All right.
Johnny Ringo. That's all I think of when I see that. Johnny Ringo. So
big Beatles fan, sure.
Big Beatles fan. He's like, make my hair soggy. And again, if you'd like to see a short clip,
we
have
fight?
a clip
got
for
a
you.
Fight of the guy.
They're gonna colorize too.
Restored colorized, yeah.
There he is.
Look at this.
He's got a white robe. Looks like a white bathrobe he's wearing to the ring.
Yeah, it does look terry cloth. Yeah,
it looks like shit here.
His hair, it's fascinating. They just come in looking disheveled, man.
All disheveled. Here, let's see him fight a little
have
bit.
Nice hair. Oh, look at this big guy. Look at this fucking
he's
Elvis
beefy.
looking. Wow.
Wow, that's him knocking the shit out of Wilhelm there.
My God.
It was a left hook. He just mauled him.
He hit him with a left-right, a 4-punch combo.
Fucking buried his ass.
That Wilhelm had no answer for.
No, none at all.
And this guy is so big. Ooh.
He's still on his feet. I just fast forward. He's still on his feet,
Okay, he just went down again.
And there is Wilhelm. The fight looks like it's about to be called off right now. Yeah, they called it.
Oh, it is. It's called, yeah.
They called it. So, yeah, Wilhelm
Who's that big fucker?
Oscar
what?
Benavina, who outweighed him by over 20 pounds, too.
It looks like it. It's not even close. That's a big guy.
And he was 39-5 coming in and 58-9 in his career. He's a real boxer.
It's a good fighter. Yeah.
It's a TKO in the third round. Wilhelm's going to lose here. So, yeah, and it was. We just watched it. It was quick work.
That's crazy.
That's when he makes a scene on German TV after that
Oh,
fight.
really?
Yeah. That's when he lost his fucking mind.
I'd lose my mind, too, that there's no way I'm ever going to win again if I have to fight guys like that.
Sure, certainly not against that guy.
No.
Next up, he fights Rudiger Schmidtke, who's 14-2-1 coming in, and this fight goes the distance. Wilhelm loses on points.
Uh-oh.
30 wins, 9 losses,
Blood
6
in the
draws.
water, babe.
Yep. December 12th, less than a month later, he fights Jürgen Bleen, who is 18-7 coming in. This fight goes the distance, and Wilhelm loses again.
Oh, no.
He's going these 10 rounds every time and losing. So now he's 30-10-6.
Yeah.
Next up, February 11th, he fights Rudiger Schmidtke again, goes the distance again. Do I even have to tell you? He loses on points.
Oh,
and this will be his last fight. He retires after this fight. Yeah. He's lost his last, 4 or 5 fights on points. It's enough already.
It's not good, yeah.
I'm getting pummeled for nothing here.
Yeah.
So 30 wins, 11 losses, 6 draws.
Oscar ruined him.
It did. Ruined him. Next up, he's in a comedy movie called Die Herren mit der Wiesenwest.
What is that?
The German movie.
The Heron, the fish goes west at night? Is that what it is?
Something. I think it's some sort of Nazi code for we're going to invade France now.
I don't know.
For invading Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
He says, upon retirement, an elderly judge enlists pensioner friends to help him outwit a boxing promoter for who for years has been involved in criminal activities. And he plays a boxer named Max Graf. So he retires. He goes to live in St. Pauli Kies, which is a red light district of Hamburg.
Hell yeah.
He's like, I'm going to get right in with other shit now. He developed a reputation in the underground here where he would associate with pimps and Hell's Angels.
Yeah.
That was his crew.
Yeah.
Bikers and pimps, basically. Yeah. He engaged in a number of affairs with both men and women. His sexuality is very fluid, by the way, Wilhelm.
Yeah, yeah.
And he would just use tons of drugs and alcohol. He just made himself a red light district dirtbag after this.
Wow.
That's what he wants to do. It's fucking amazing. So one person here for that documentary went back to St. Pauli to speak to some of Norbert's old friends. And one guy, a boxer named Jürgen Bleen, who beat Norbert. Remember, we just talked about him.
Yeah.
Let's see. By the way, Jürgen got knocked out by Muhammad Ali in 1971. So he was a good fighter to fight Ali. Tells the documentarian that Norbert was the most talented boxer in Germany, but that alcohol and drugs were his downfall. They're saying he didn't train. He just drank and fucking did drugs, and then he'd go fight people. How the fuck was he going to win?
Yeah.
Bleen said he electrified people, but he ruined himself by the way he lived. They interview another one of his friends, a guy named Stefan Henschel, who's a notorious pimp. And he takes the filmmaker to a busy street at night there, and he said Norbert was the first or last person you'd want to have as a friend. First or last.
Yeah, depending on what you want.
He said that Norbert could have owned the city and been filthy rich, except that he was always used by other people and couldn't hold on to his money. He said nobody really loved him, an extreme guy ahead of his time. So during the documentary, a beggar approaches the filmmaker, and the filmmaker. Oh no, this isn't the filmmaker. This is another guy. This is the Hensel guy who he was talking to, the pimp guy. During the documentary, a beggar approaches the pimp And the pimp punches the man in the face and walks away.
Asking for money, and he just drills him?
Yep. A few years later, Hensel hanged himself from a hook that was meant to hold a punching bag. Good and sturdy is what he said. Yep. So that's that. Another friend said everything he did, meaning Wilhelm, he had to overdo. Norbert's life is one of the most dangerous I've ever known. His dangerous life landed him in prison for dealing hashish to an undercover cop.
Okay.
He does an on-camera prison interview where he looks sad and he's staring off into the prison yard. He claims to be a scapegoat, and an old friend that the documentarian talked to said the same thing. He said he hung out with the wrong crowd and somebody had to go down. Yeah, that's what it is.
Right.
April 1970, he and his wife Barbara get a divorce. He was still married to that Barbara lady after all this. He was literally in the red light district fucking men and women and everything, and he was married.
She's
so
got no problem with it.
That's crazy.
She shouldn't know.
It is, by the way, that July 12th, 1970, one of his episodes of Wild Wild West is airing.
Yeah.
Here, so that's very
prison?
nice. He's not in prison yet. That's the future. Right. Also, that's weird. There's this weird ad. It's like the Thigh Master of its day. It's called the Trim-A-Size, if you're looking for a sale here, as shown on TV. I have no idea. It looks like a lawn chair that goes up instead of in.
Yeah, it looks like that ladder that collapsed on that guy in the infomercial.
Terrible. Home exerciser tightens your muscles and takes inches off in just a few weeks.
Okay, yeah.
Bullshit thing, yeah.
It's the original Norditrack.
Yeah, or whatever the fuck bullshit, just whatever.
Yeah.
He's also in a movie called The Swiss Conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's 5 out of 10 on IMDb. Former U.S. Justice Department official is hired as a security consultant for a Zurich-based Swiss bank when 5 of its clients are blackmailed. And Von Homburg plays a hitman in a cook suit. I don't know what that is. I guess a
chef,
like chef scrubs. I don't know. So Werner Herzog, by the way, the German director and big-time director. I mean, let's be honest here.
He's amazing.
He saw something in Wilhelm.
Yeah.
Yep, and he had watched, I guess, as a young man, he had watched him and seen him fighting, so he cast him as a bullying pimp in a movie called Strozek, and it's a 1977 film about an ex-con trying to leave Germany for a better life in the U.S.
Sure.
Herzog said, "The prince was so clear and intelligent and radiated at the same time a feeling of danger that absolutely terrified me. He was almost like a German Mike Tyson." Everyone felt very uncomfortable around him, like he could snap at any point and start punching you. Everyone said that about him. He's going to end up in jail here in the early 80s.
Yeah.
He's going to spend about 5 years total in jail.
What?
Yes, about 5 years in different prisons.
For what?
Well, number one, he was selling hash to undercover officers. He was jailed for that, which was a big deal back then.
Sure.
He also was jailed in the early 80s for beating the shit out of someone and causing actual bodily injury and harm.
Oh.
So he was put in jail for that. And then, finally, this is my favorite one, he was jailed a couple years later when he got out of prison for the other thing, for being a pimp.
Oh.
He was pimping for aiding prostitution, which is pimping
right?
in European slang. Yeah.
Selling gals.
So he's a fucking person punching, drug selling fucking pimp is what he is.
Dude fucking gal fucking
That's pimp. That's what he turned into. He spends about 5 years total. Like I said, between the late 70s and the mid 80s, he spends about 5 years of that time in prison for various different things. He gets out. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
Where do you go?
Where do you go now? That's the thing. What do you do? Where do you go? And lucky for him, he's just sitting at home one day, minding his own business. And you never know. Opportunity knocks. And it knocks today. He's knocking. He looks out. It's Vince McMahon.
Hey.
Holy shit. It's CEO and
guy.
ex-CEO and everything of WWE. And he says... How is it you've come to arrive here? Look at you. Oh, my God. I'll make you a Nazi. I know.
What have I been looking for?
Look, Look, I know I can't offer you a job right now because there's some things that I have to clear up, but I'm starting something else, and I'm telling you, you pimp women. You're the best. You pimp them. You know how to get a crowd going while you're pimping women. You're doing all these. Oh my God, you're vascular. Look at you. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me ask you this. Can you get your dad here? I want you to. You're a rapist. There's something about that the crowd can tell the rape energy that you have in you, and you're gonna be a star. I'm telling you right now. Hold on.
Schnitzel.
I don't know if you've ever tried these before, but one moment here.
Yeah.
Try these overalls on for me. Oh, God. There it is. And poof, he's gone in a cloud of 1099s and
incredible
CTE reports. He's gone. Incredible. So 1988 here, he gets his big acting break.
Right.
Which is not in Ghostbusters, actually.
No?
Which is in Die Hard.
Huh.
He plays one of the bad guys in Die Hard. One of those guys is him. He plays
the real Die Hard with Bruce Willis.
Real Die. No, not some like Cinemax movie from 1983. Real Die Hard with Bruce Willis. 8.2 out of 10 on fucking IMDb. Wow. Giant hit. And Nordberg or Wilhelm's character dies off screen when Bruce Willis throws plastic explosives down the elevator shaft.
Oh,
that's him down there that's chasing him.
Okay, all right.
So he's dead then, which is pretty good.
Not bad.
Here we go. He plays, his name is James in the movie. Whatever. Yeah. He's thug German guy. Whatever. So 1988, August 5th, his dad dies.
Oh, no.
He had a stroke, and he died on August 5th, 1988, which is, what was he, 73?
Yeah, that's the nicest guy in his life, though, right?
It is. Now, by the way, since Richard is dead now, let's give away the Rona ending here.
Okay.
Is he the father or the brother?
Well,
turns out Richard was the father with a blood test. Norbert,
his dad,
thankfully, was not the father of his sister. Phew. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I can't believe
you are not the father.
You are not the father. This is the most fucked up episode of Maury that's ever existed.
Truly. You are a piece of shit. But
I mean, you snuck up and broke into a house and raped your stepmother. Either way, whether you're the dad or not, this is behavior we really got to work on. You know what I mean? We got to send you one of those boot camps. We'll mix episodes. So, after having a stroke, he died. And Richard was cremated. His best friend, Steve Strong, and Rona, and his ex-wife, Ursula, released his ashes along with 3 roses on the beach in Marina del Rey, where Richard had liked to swim with the dogs. And
it's a beautiful place, Jesus.
Not bad here. Strong went to see Richard in the hospital while he was dying, held his hand. He asked Richard to squeeze his hand if he could hear him, and Strong said he did. He said he held on very long and tight that last visit. Days earlier, he was still alive but unresponsive in the hospital. Fucking Wilhelm walked into the room while Rona was sitting there with her dying father. And Wilhelm said to her, now he's dying, non-responsive in a hospital bed while she sobs over it. He walks in, looks, and says, "Why are you wasting your time here with this asshole?" That's his answer to it. Great guy, Wilhelm. Great guy.
I'm going to start asking everybody that, standing in a room with one other person. Why are you wasting your time with this asshole?
You waste your time with this asshole. Rona said, "Are you kidding me? You're talking like this in front of my father?" And Wilhelm said, "That's not your father." And that's Rona said, "I saw Dad's eye open when Norbert said that, and he was in a coma."
Yeah.
This is when
rage-filled.
This is when she found out that he might be her father, and they did a blood test to find out. That's crazy. When Rona was in her mid-teens, she had said Richard had shared an almost unfathomable story. He sat her down and said, "I don't want you to go crazy, but there's a good possibility that you could be Norbert's daughter. I don't want you to go crazy, but you could be the rape child of your brother, actually.
Wow. Don't
go crazy or anything, but your brother may have raped your mother and had you."
Who knows?
That is fucking crazy shit, man. Wow. Now, Rona said, "My mother was gorgeous and Norbert was in love with her." So he had climbed up the fire escape and raped her. And
golly.
Yeah. So Rona, despite calling Norbert Wilhelm evil and despite his rape of her mother, never completely kicked him out of her life, actually. Really? Still was close with Wilhelm. the documentarian or the interviewer asked her why she kept him in her life. Because this part's from a Deadspin article that did a very good in-depth thing on him. So we got to give them credit for it. Yeah, absolutely. So they said the interviewer asked her why she kept him in her life, and even if it's at a safe distance, and she said that Norbert had a charisma that captured her and almost everyone he knew. Mm-hmm. A charisma? He raped your mother. What are you talking about?
Sometimes those predators are really good at it.
I mean, Ted Bundy had charisma too, but for fuck's sake, no one went, I don't know. He's just...
I bet his family loved him.
She said he was funny, and like her father was funny, and like her father, he walked like a boxer and talked like a boxer, and she missed her father, and Norbert was the closest thing left. Yeah. She said it was worth the trauma of the day to deal with this clown, just so I could see a little Richard. Just want someone who reminds him of his father, of her father. So finally, 1989 is his big break.
It's huge.
He's almost 50 here. He has his face is battered and old boxer. His long hair, it's grayish blonde and perfect.
His eyebrows. He's so good at it.
Perfect to play like a middle-aged ruler of a fucking village. You know what I mean? Vigo the Carpathian, who is as he was cast, Vigo, the Scourge of Carpathia, the Sorrow of Moldavia in Ghostbusters 2. His character's full name was Vigo Von Homburg Duschendorf. So they gave him the Von Homburg.
Really?
Yeah.
And Duschendorf.
It was his dream role, obviously. It was he's the villain in the fucking Ghostbusters
he's everything.
2.
Yeah.
He's the painting. How many times do they show that painting?
So many times.
It's just the painting of him, but it's powerful, And it's a big budget movie. It's a giant budget movie at the time. And they said, on a mountain of skulls in a castle of pain, I sat on a throne, he growled. That's not him, though. They replace him later, as we'll talk about.
What?
The voice is not his in that movie.
Is that right?
Absolutely. So this is a little clip from the book here of Ghostbusters I talked about. Vigo the Carpathian was meant to remain within the confines of the painting that controls Janus, so the actor playing Vigo had to project malevolence at a standstill.
Right.
Yeah, most of the time, I mean, an actor has to do things. He has to just look scary, just in a frame. Orthodox students of boxing were probably not surprised that the man hired for the job was Prince Wilhelm von Homburg. So they talk about that. Now, he needs basically the man that they talk about all of this shit. It was a photograph creatively designed to look like a picture. Actually, they didn't paint it.
Okay.
They just kind of touched up the picture there. And at the end is when he's supposed to come to life, Vigo.
Right. Yeah.
So his speech at the time was slurred and indistinct. They called it. They didn't know what the fuck he was saying. So after all of his lines, they ended up being dubbed with Max von Sydow's voice.
Yeah, you can tell.
That's his voice.
It's hilarious that's what actually happened because when it's just off just by a little bit.
Oh yeah. You can tell just a little bit. And one of the sound effects artists who filmed behind the scenes footage said, quote, "Poor Wilhelm von Homburg. It seems no one told him his voice was replaced."
Right.
They didn't tell him. And he found out firsthand at the screening and then stormed out of the theater. That's fucking fuck this movie.
That's not me. God
fucking
damn it.
Ghostbusters. And everybody on set was afraid of him. He was a menace. He terrorized people.
Really?
He's fucking crazy. From the book Ghostbusters 2, producer Michael C. Gross wasn't afraid of the man he hired for Vigo. He was merely disgusted by him. Quote, "I can only say he was a crude, bigoted asshole."
I wonder what he said.
Gross commented years later, though Homburg was spiritually aligned with the sour Carpathian, his voice did not have the theatrical quality Vigo necessitated. At least that's what Ivan Reitman decided. So, yeah, they dubbed it in Max von Sydow, and there you go.
Hilarious.
So Ghostbusters 2, he is Vigo. That painting is, it's pretty fucking iconic, that painting. So he is replaced with another voice.
Unreal.
Jesus Christ, that happens to a lot of people, It's and I feel bad for all those people, Jimmy. I really do.
Yeah.
But not nearly as bad
oh boy
as I feel for Norbert Grupe, Chief Executive Officer at Can Barbara SC. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Is this hideous name very popular?
Nope. There's another one,
good.
though, and it's this guy who is in the Mallorca metropolitan area.
Wherever the fuck that is.
No idea where the fuck Mallorca is. So it sounds like made-up shit where Andy Kaufman was from on Taxi. It's right next to Mypos is where it is. The island,
Mallorca.
Yeah, the island next to Mypos is Mallorca.
It's like Turks and Caicos. It's one of those islands where it's Mypos and Mallorcas.
Mypos and Mallorcas.
Mallorcas sounds like something your grandfather says instead of bullshit. Mallorcas.
It sounds like an Italian curse. I put the Mallorca on her. Because there's the evil eyes, which is similar to that. It's the Mallorca on him. I think it's in Greece, maybe. That's what I'm going to guess. He's in another movie somehow after that.
Really?
He's in The Package starring Gene Hackman.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's a big movie. 1989, 6.4 stars. Experienced Green Beret Sergeant Johnny Gallagher is escorting a prisoner airborne ranger Thomas Boyette back to the U.S., but Boyette escapes and Gallagher must risk life and limb to catch him. God. Wilhelm plays West Berlin police lieutenant.
Okay.
So that makes sense. A German cop, considering that's what his dad did. This has Gene Hackman, Tommy Lee Jones, John Hurd, who, if you know who he is, he's the crooked cop in The Sopranos that jumps off the bridge. Him. Pam Greer's in this. Dennis Franz is in this.
The dad that from Home Alone?
Home Alone dad,
That's him, yeah.
Home Alone dad. Huh. Fucking Pam Greer, Dennis Franz. This is like a lot of big people are in this fucking movie. And, of course, Wilhelm von Homburg.
Sure.
He also is in Midnight Cabaret, which is a 1990 horror movie. A Broadway producer puts on a play with a devil character in it. Soon the actors begin having nightmares, and events that are mentioned in the play really start happening.
Of course.
And he plays Juan Carlos, because if anyone looks Spanish, it's the blondest man who's ever existed.
Juan Carlos.
You might as well have cast Phil Simms in that role. Fuck are you talking about? Holy shit. He also is in From Bagman to Big Time, which is a short film, and he's the only actor in the short. So it's like following one actor, little short film thing. Who knows? Yeah, probably. He plays Der Penner is his thing. Next, he's in Night of the Warrior. So now he's out of these big Hollywood productions. It went Die Hard, Ghostbusters 2, random Gene Hackman movie. Now we're into bad fighting movies.
How about that, though? You can do one really great big movie, and then you can be thrown into pieces of shit for years.
Well, all these pieces of shit hire him because they're like, he's Vigo the Carpathian.
Right.
So they hire him because he's a familiar face. So Night of the Warrior, 1991. It's an action sport, it's called. Fighting movie. And the cover is the Warrior. It says Night of the Warrior, and Warrior is written like the Double Dragon font on the old arcade machines. Yeah. And it's got a guy with a taped fist standing over a city skyline.
Stupid.
Looks terrible. 3.7 stars on IMDb out of 10. Miles Keene pays the debts for his dancing bar by illegally fighting. When his debt is paid, he refuses further collaboration. But the fight mafia forces him to continue by threatening his mother, the murder of his former lover, Joy, and kidnapping his girlfriend, Catherine Price. Well, you could take my ex. Fuck her. I don't care. Fuck you threatening her for?
The fight mafia is going after your ex, and that's what makes you fight more? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. After the last fight, the mafia plans to also kill Miles and Catherine.
Right.
Oh, of course they are. Why wouldn't you? This stars Lorenzo Lamas. There you go. Who was in a bunch of terrible movies back then.
Shit, yeah.
Lorenzo Lamas and a bunch of people I've never heard of, but if you saw them, you go, oh, yeah, that guy was in a couple of things. A lot of that shit going on here. He's also in Eye of the Storm, 1991 romance thriller starring Laura Flynn Boyle.
Oh, shit.
And Dennis Hopper, actually, too.
Wow.
Holy shit. And
that was post her Twin Peaks success, yeah?
Yeah. Right around that same time, 91. Yeah. So it's just when it's happening
right there,
now.
Yeah.
And who else is in it is the guy who plays Tom Nuttall in Deadwood.
Oh,
the bartender,
shit.
yeah.
Really?
Leon Rippey is his name. I never knew his real name, but that's his name. He's that guy. He's in this movie as well. This is at a highway gas station motel diner where they live. Hold on a minute.
What? Hold on. They live at the motel? Or
they live at a highway gas station motel diner. That's all in one. 2 young brothers witness their parents' murder. The whole family lives there? Jesus. The younger brother is blinded in the same incident. 10 years later, both brothers are still there. That's the tragedy there.
Yeah,
it says, and the tragedy may have turned one of them psychotic. When the abusive Gladstone and his young and sexy wife are stranded at the gas station, it brings out the worst in everyone.
Yeah.
It sounds like one of those movies where they kidnap a couple and they rape the wife and do all that shit. Von Homburg's credit in here, killer.
Oh, he's the bad guy.
He
Jesus.
plays a killer. Yep. Well, I mean, he looks like a killer.
Yeah, he does.
There's Killer and Killer Girl as well, played by an actress.
Okay.
So, his last notable movie was Diggstown. Remember that with Louis Gossett Jr.
Louis Gossett Jr. in Diggstown
and James Woods.
James Woods is in it.
Yep, James Woods and Louis Gossett Jr. It was a complete flop. He had a role. He played Charles Macomb Diggs, actually, Wilhelm. A vegetative,
the main character?
Well, no, a vegetative ex-boxer who's been cheated out of his fortune and career.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't speak and barely moved in the movie. He was in a vegetative state. He played a guy laying there, basically.
Remember when you were laying still in a painting? I need you to do that in a bed.
Remember that? Except don't look anything. Just look.
Just look at your fucking feet. Did
Part
you
your
watch
lips
Twin
slightly.
Peaks?
There you go. Yeah.
Be that guy.
Be that. So Diggstown here, yeah. It's Gabriel's released from prison. His con man friend makes a foolish bet with Diggstown's owner who'd win the boxing matches. Their man against 10 Diggstown men.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. So that's his major last role, and that had Oliver Platt, Bruce Dern, James Woods, Louis Gossett Jr., Randall Tex Cobb. Heather Graham is in that. That's a very early role for Heather Graham, right after Drugstore Cowboy, I think. All sorts of fucking people are in this movie, man. That guy, Dwayne Davis, he always plays a guy who's trying to tackle somebody in a movie. If you saw him, you go, oh, him from all the football movies from the 90s. He's in all of them. Okay, he's in Necessary Roughness in this one and that one.
Shit.
He's also in, finally, a comedy, which is a spoof, an attempted spoof, called Silence of the Hams.
Have I seen this? Is this...
It's a 1994 spoof of Silence of the Lambs, so probably at the time.
Is it like Spy Hard and Lethal Loaded Weapon?
Yeah, Loaded Weapon. It's like those, I think, except worse.
All right.
The federal agent Joe D. Fostar, Joe, one word, D, one word, Fostar, is currently investigating a serial killer helped by Dr. Animal, who is located in maximum security jail. There you go. Dr. Animal. And he plays a maitre d' in that. This stars fucking Dom DeLuise is in this. Holy shit.
I swear I've seen this movie.
Dom DeLuise, Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Fucking John Aston, Stuart Pankin, Bubba Smith's in it, Phyllis Diller. Wow. Holy shit. Rip Taylor. Holy Christ. They're breaking everybody out for this one.
Of the Hams.
Shelley Winters. Holy fuck. Then he's in also The Mouth of Madness, 1994 drama fantasy horror. Have you seen this?
Yeah, In the Mouth of Madness.
Wow, interesting. It's an insurance investigator begins discovering that the impact a horror writer's books have on his fans is more than inspirational.
Yeah.
This stars a bunch of people. Charlton Heston's in it.
Yeah, but what's the old man's name that's the main character? Fuck.
Sam Neill, David Warner, Jürgen Prochnow, Julie Carmen, John Glover, who I recognize, Peter Jason, who I definitely recognize. He's also in Deadwood. He plays Khan, the guy who likes big women with fat tits.
Oh,
he plays that guy in Deadwood.
I forget the main character's name, but he's a
Jerry's
foreign
grandma,
guy, and he's in a lot of shit.
Jerry's grandma from Seinfeld's in this.
Oh, really?
Nana? Yeah, she's in this.
She's the one that's the lady
Pickman.
at the hotel.
I'm looking. Marvin Scott, reporter. One guy's an axe murderer. I don't know. I don't know who could have. Who was the main character?
I remember the movie tremendously because there's a really horrific part in the movie where he's driving down the road and he's really tired, obviously, and there's a kid riding a bike, and he rides next to him because they're going the same direction, and it's like he looks next to him, and it's like a demon, like an old man. It's the scariest
like Twilight
character
Zone
I've
shit?
ever seen in any movie. It gave me nightmares, and it's just a kid riding by. And it's so scary.
And
so
plus,
scary.
you were like fucking 13 years
12,
old at that
13?
point. Yeah, you
yeah.
definitely.
It was fucked up.
Not like you were like 7, so
No.
it must have been real fucked up.
It was super fucked up.
I was gonna say some things when you're like 7, some shit's not even scary. And I was terrified of Willy Wonka when I was 6. I saw it on my own before I knew it was a kid's movie. No one explained like, oh, this is a fun kid's movie. I just saw this movie and I was like, I know that recognized Gene Wilder, so I watched it. I was horrified. I thought he was the bad guy. I thought there was a horror movie about a guy who fucking kills children. Because he's murdering children. This is crazy shit.
Kids, it's
fucking insane.
It's like 7 for kids.
Yeah. It's like Kids for kids.
Yeah.
But no, he fucking, I remember then later on, kids were like, I love Willy Wonka. And I was like, yeah, Willy Wonka's great. I didn't have the heart to tell anyone. I was scared of it and didn't watch it the right way. Next, he's in Rosa Roth, which is looks like a foreign TV show because it's on from 94 to 2013.
Jesus.
And Rosa Roth is a no-nonsense police commissioner stationed in Berlin. It's a German TV show.
Yeah.
It's had 94 to 2013.
94. Wow.
94 to 2013. Who has a small team of operatives she trusts with her life. Whatever happens on the field, it takes a toll on them personally as well. It sounds like 24 or some shit. He also, it's starring a bunch of Germans. That's his final acting role. As this goes on now through the late 90s, most of his friends abandon him because he's a complete asshole.
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's constantly borrowing money from everybody and never paying them back.
Yeah.
Rona said, who we know now as his sister, said he was flat broke. He could make money like you wouldn't believe, but he spent it like water. Women and drugs, squeaking out the rent, borrowing money from people. None of his friends ever wanted anything to do with him once they got a good dose of him. Yep. In 2004, he went to his sister's office in Santa Monica and sat outside on a concrete flower bed. Yeah. Just like sitting outside waiting for his mom.
Yeah.
Around 8 in the morning, Rona looked out the window and saw him sitting out there, just sitting and sitting. This wasn't the first time he'd done this. He just likes to sit, and Rona wondered what the hell was going on with him this time. She said, I was afraid to go downstairs because I was afraid he was going to follow me back up.
Yeah, or ask for money.
No, Rona never wanted to introduce him to coworkers because he might say something to embarrass her because he says crazy shit and does crazy shit. He was the kind of guy who would say or do whatever he wanted, whomever he wanted. He might make a racial slur at somebody in her office or something. You never know. So years earlier, Rona said she had been told she might not be Norbert's sister, and so there was that's a part of it too. So eventually, she walked downstairs. When he saw her, he told her in German, come here and sit for a few minutes. So she sat next to him, and he told her that he has prostate cancer and he's going to die very soon.
Oh, boy.
And then March 10th, 2010, he dies. So,
what?
You know.
Wow.
He didn't have much time left. He was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Nobody knows why the fuck he was down there, or they don't even know where he's buried. They think he might be buried somewhere in Mexico.
Like
they have no idea.
Grave?
No clue. Might have been thrown in a Mexican hole in the ground for all we know.
Oh, my God.
She said she got a call a month after it happened from a friend of his saying that he was dead. And
Holy shit.
Before he died, he instructed this guy to deliver the message 1 month after his death to his sister.
Okay.
We'll deliver this message, and that is, touche. Wait a month and tell my sister that.
Tell her that she's better than me.
Yep, she wins. I'm dead. Yeah. There you go. That's pretty fucking funny.
Who will deliver his final words to the sister?
yeah. Go Deadwood again. All right, fine. It's real simple. Just touche. All right, then. Do I have to say it all gay in French like that, or can I say Tucci? All right, fine. Touche.
Say toucher.
Say touchy. I don't fucking know. Write it down and hand it to him.
Who delivered the last words to the sister? That's so funny.
I love that. What a great opening scene.
Yeah.
So one of his oldest friends, Walter Staudinger, said that Norbert, quote, was not happy when somebody liked him. He lived to rile people up and make them mad.
What is that about?
He's a dick. He's just a dick. He's like a social media personality. He's just a fucking asshole. He's clickbait. So when the Krosky guy decided to begin research for the documentary, his whereabouts were unknown. Krosky ended up finding Wilhelm in L.A., but had to fly out 3 times before getting Wilhelm to agree to film with him.
Huh.
The filmmaker said he had giant mood swings. He could be very friendly, and in the same moment, he could be disgusting.
Wow.
The filmmaker emailed Michael C. Gross from Ghostbusters, and he said he almost the exact same quote from the book. He said, "I can only say he was a crude, bigoted asshole.
He's gross.
He hates him. Everybody hates him." Norbert's friend since they were teens, named Manfred, who also appeared in the documentary, seemed to think that Wilhelm's time in prison had a strong effect on him. This guy said that Norbert loved the outdoors and hated to be locked in. When he got out and came to the U.S., Norbert got a convertible so he could feel the open air when he drove. This guy said that he and Norbert would fight because of Norbert's drug use.
Oh?
This Manfred guy said he kicked him out of the house once because of it. Norbert apologized. He said, quote, "Then he got mad at me, and I got mad at him. But we were friends, so we made up again. He'll always be my friend." He said that they would, it would fight all the fucking time, though. Another woman, Patricia Nell Warren, who's the author and journalist known for The Front Runner, which is a book. It's a gay love story, I suppose. The book is. Wrote an essay about him, and in it explained that many of his friendships were more than that, but he wasn't the type of guy to settle down at all. She said privately, if he talked about his sex life, Norbert made it clear that the Beetle boxer had taken on all contenders regardless of gender.
How about
Didn't give a fuck. But we never saw Norbert with girlfriends or boyfriends in tow. He seemed to be the perennial loner. After all, he'd already been out as the ultimate renegade, so tattooing the word bisexual on his forehead was not something he'd rush into at this late date. Didn't want everybody to know about it. Besides being homophobic Hollywood of the 90s with its panics about AIDS deaths, was not a place where open gayness would be rewarded. And that's true. If you're openly gay, you better be openly gay, and that's what you're playing in every fucking movie. You're going to go, hi, when you walk into every room, period. So he said, as a weed-smoking bisexual strongman in a time before that was acceptable by mainstream standards, right now, you'd be the most popular guy on Instagram.
God,
a weed-smoking bisexual fucking weightlifter? You'd be the crushing it on there.
Yeah, he would.
Holy shit.
The toughest man alive, and he sucks dicks?
And he
Watch
sucks dicks
out.
and smokes weed? Holy fuck. Said, or maybe it was the refusal of his own mother to talk to him, pushed him to distrust and hate other people. Or maybe he was just an asshole.
It's possible.
That's possible. So, yeah, he's a bit of a mess. One of his friends here, Wally Kohler, a friend from the days when they were young, living in the St. Pauli quarter of the city in the red light district.
Yeah.
He painted Norbert as Jesus with long flowing blonde hair below a gold crown. The painting shows the devastated prince looking at his devastated world. He said it's a broken prince. He's standing before his demise.
How about this?
Can't get enough of old Wilhelm Norbert von Homburg Grupe? Well, get yourself a Ghostbusters 6, a Ghostbusters iPhone case.
What?
With Vigo painting on it. They have Ghostbusters iPhone cases with Vigo on it, with the painting on it. $6.76 on eBay right now. Also, the Werner Herzog movie that he starred in 1977. Yeah. It's on video, a first edition from 1990 on VHS, $99.95 for that.
Get that $100 tape and then try and find something to play it on.
Yeah, good luck. And then finally, a Wilhelm von Homburg 8x10 headshot from the Ghostbusters 2 era.
Hell yeah.
$2.06.
That's a deal. Yeah.
Not bad at all. We should get some merch for him. And there you go, everyone. That is Wilhelm von Homburg, Norbert Grupe.
Who knew?
Who the fuck knew? Like I said, I didn't know. When they said he was an asshole and a boxer and a wrestler, I'm like, I wonder if he ever got arrested. So then I looked him up. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a mess.
He's an actual Nazi. Shit.
He's an actual Nazi. So there you go, everybody. There he is. There's a Nazi for you. I think that might be our first actual Nazi.
Yeah.
Besides,
right.
Besides half the UFC fighters who just don't admit it openly. But, actual stated Nazi, So there that. Oh, no, we did have the one guy who had a swastika tattoo on him. And,
but he wasn't a
was
Nazi.
it Brandon Salig?
He's
not an actual.
No,
he was
right. This guy
Neo.
was born in it. Yeah.
He was born into Nazism there. So if you like the show, give a review on whatever app you're listening on. Doesn't matter what it is. Give 5 stars. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com.
Sure.
We are October 30th, have the virtual live show
do.
for Small Town Murder anywhere in the world with an internet connection. You're welcome to get this thing. It's available for 2 weeks after as well, so you can buy it later. You can buy it that day and watch it. You can buy it now and it'll pop up. Do all that shit. You can watch it as many times as you want. So enjoy that. Come hang out with us. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Patreon.com /crimeinsports is where you get all of the bonus material. $5 a month or above gets you all the Patreon for Crime and Sports, for Small Town Murder, all that good shit, and hundreds of back episodes, new ones every other week. This week for Crime and Sports, which you get, obviously, we're going to talk about the Vince McMahon documentary.
Let's go.
Not the wrestling parts. The rest of the parts,
the gross stuff.
Especially one particular line that he said that I'll never forget as long as I live.
It should haunt him forever.
It should haunt everybody who said that's crazy. And for anybody to defend that, never mind, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the second part of the Ted Bundy psychological examination from 1976, trying to find out if Ted's a violent person or not. Spoiler alert, he is. So there you go. Patreon.com /crimeinsports. Do that. Keep coming. And you get a shout out at the end of the show, which is right fucking now. Jimmy, hit me with the names of the most fantastic sons of bitches who keep this show flowing. Hit me with them right now.
This week's executive producer, Jordan Bennett and Gary Howard. Thank you both.
Hey, thank you,
so
Jordan
much.
and Gary. We appreciate
you guys. Are the
guys.
best. Other producers this week are Peyton Meadows, Janice Hill, Cody Leversey, Stephen Fitzsimmons. I think it's just Steve Fitzsimmons. PIAPTK. I'm not sure what that stands for. I'm sure it's an acronym for something. Kelsey Insaner. That can't be right. It's got to be Insaner.
I'm insaner than you.
Kelsey is insaner.
No, I'm insaner.
I don't believe you. She said so. She got a birth certificate for it. Crystal Macholtz, Courtney Hoffman, Lena, maybe, Mills, Jeff Adamski, Paula Reynolds, Linda with no last name, Lacey Wells, Brandon Lyons, Amanda Lebrecht. William with no last name, Eric Olson, Ada Sopko, Stephen Perrell, Aaron Jensen, Britt with no last name, Renee with no last name, Elizabeth Aquino, Kat with no last name, Richard Gagnon, Gagnon.
Yeah,
Gwendolyn,
that name always fucks me up.
Fucked. It's so brutal.
As comedians, we just want to say gagging on it, and that's not how we're...
And his name is Richard. It's probably not his real name.
I doubt it's Dick Gagon.
I'm sure it's not that. Gwendolyn Chambers, Chelsea Headley, Lauren Thorpe, Brian Stoneburner, Rachel Kibbe, Donna Straley, Veronica Mendoza, Amber with no last name, Bubre, Megan Icarino.
Icarumba?
Mary with no last name, Linda Dupuis, Lauren with no last name, Amanda with no last name, Jamie Thomas probably, it might be Tomes, Alexandra Awada, Bethany Morantos, Courtney Acevedo, Sphinx with no last name, Russell Moore, Alluvion, MN, I think that's Minnesota. Jacob Berlin, Carey with no last name, Dorothy Phillips, Michelle Jarvis, Ash F, Artsy Blue Eyes, Jeffrey Scott DeGroat, Matthew Howard, Sarah Saunders, Lucky Olson, Toby with no last name, Kristen Larson, Leah G, Sean Coltrane, Abby Shalaby, Shabalobo.
Shabal not going to work here anymore.
Shabal not going to work here. Victor Cole. TJ Askren, Liz with no last name, Becca Bolin, Joey Rediger, Tara Brock, Jolene Willie, Wiley maybe, Weil perhaps, Eli with no last name, Wheezy Lamb, Laura Moore, Pamela Marsh, Danielle Corcoran, Michelle Wilson, Leslie with no last name, Tasha Arthur, Anthony Nielsen, Carrie Mullins, and Fenster Mocker, Lori Shellstad, Riley Filner, Aaron Thornton, Bad Taste. I can know that one. Jill Perry, Don D.
Joe Perry,
Jenny,
Aerosmith guitarist. Joe Perry's giving us money now?
Jill Perry, his wife, or daughter, possibly.
Yeah, good.
Earl's daughter, Jenny
Give me some of that Janie's Got a Gun money. Let's go.
I'll go crazy. Constance Ellen, Carmen Rusnak, Rue Snack, Josh Chastain, Lauren Davies, Ashley Garreau, Grox, perhaps, it's probably Giroux, Sophia Smith, Janelle R., Douglas Heckert, Clara Alley, perhaps, Drew McCarson, perhaps, Big Jer,
tough day today.
Jesus Pareda, Erica with no last name, Susan Walker, Archna, Renee Dominguez, Rachel with no last name, Tyler Espinoza, Michael Watts, Dennis Falk, Dane Thompson, Stephanie Toole, Lyra Smith, Cassandra Kaufman-Rapini, Katie Roostman, Taylor with no last name, Leia. This person's real name is Leia. I likely named after
the
somebody
princess,
had a fan, right?
Someone's dad was at the
big
theater
fan. Mr.
78.
Seth Shaken, Saf Shaken, Saf Shakanan, or Bishop. One of those two people loves Princess Leia. Tyler Baxey, Megan Bell, Namowski, Hot Vapor, Melanie McGarva, Kevin Ives, Adam Smiley, Jeffrey Pope, Amanda Kunkel probably, Vanessa Shadow perhaps, Kayla Sasser, Kara and Jeff, Full Metal Lack 15? Metal Lack. I don't know what we're doing there. I don't know what the whole point of that is.
I don't know where
perhaps,
we are right
now. All right, Julie Putney, Heather Wine. Oh, Heather Wine, Christina Sanfilippo, no name, no first or last name at all, James. Not even first. Kelly with no last name, though. Liz with no last name. Mandy Ammendinger, Armendinger, that's it. Elvira Irwin, Ryan Mantle, Hanzo Beefton, probably not. Kevin Hosier, like the singer that we used to know them. Taylor Christensen, Chelsea Slack, Brandon with no last name, Joseph Jarrell, Christopher Mountcastle, Andrea Ranka, Jarvis Wrinkle, Addison Teague, that's who it is. Kevin Colfer, Ramona Algerian, Jessica, Stephen Clark, or Cook rather, Erica Pinella, Jesse Bruner, and Crystal. She's not a stripper, although there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you all so much, and all of our patrons. You guys are the best.
Thank you, everybody. You fantastic, wonderful bastards. We appreciate the shit out of all that you do for us. Honestly, you keep this show going. Thank you for doing that.
You're the best.
Thank you for being there for us. If you want to follow us on social media, real easy to do. By the way, you can go to Shut Up and Give Me Murder, drop-down menu. You can follow Crime and Sports at Crime and Sports on wherever the hell you follow shit. Keep doing that. Yeah. Keep coming back and seeing us. And live from the Crime and Sports studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country, who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.